Welcome to day 2 of Taking the Leap, a virtual conference for new and future small businesses. My name is Norman Analista, and I'm your MC today. Yesterday, we covered a lot of heavy topics: writing a business plan, obtaining licensing and permitting, and financing your business. Now, we are moving on to the world of marketing, diversifying, and keeping your business going in uncertain times like these. One thing I think we can all agree on by now is that ideas are easy, but getting our ideas off the ground is tough. Our first keynote speaker of the day is Dominic Sengil. Dominic, or Dom, is the owner of Dom's Lawn Maintenance. He started the business in 1997 and grew from a solo operation cutting his neighbors' yards to a full-scale landscaping and maintenance business with 21 employees. Dom's Lawn Maintenance handles residential, commercial, and government contracts. Many of the sports facilities you see around our island are maintained by his company. He is a son of Guam. He enjoys fishing. His wife, Amber Sengil, is a huge support to him, as well as his 2 kids who are also employed with his company. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mr. Dominic Sengil.
Ready? Yeah. Yeah. Chill. I get it until the sunrise. Doing 90 and a 65. Windows roll down screaming now.
Hi.
Afade, Dom.
Hi, how are you guys? Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You can go ahead and get started.
Okay.
Welcome.
So first of all, I would like to thank Gita for the opportunity for me to speak to you guys today. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Dominic Sengil. I am a sole proprietor doing business on Guam. And I work with a wide variety of people, from apartment complexes to landowners, homeowners, to condos, HOAs, businesses, sports complexes, and also our government agencies, as you mentioned. I would like to give you a history of how I started the business. Let me explain to you. But after returning to Guam in December of 1995, there wasn't much opportunity for me. You see, in college, I studied Asian economics, and I did so because I thought of the proximity we are to Asia, and I thought it would be relevant for us in our region. Well, in 1996, I was unable to find a job in my field of economics, but I was able to find 3 jobs. I got a job at Continental Airlines as a ramp agent. I got a job at Foot Locker as a warehouse and a sales associate on the floor, and also as a cook and a cashier at my family's business. You know, anyone knows who have done multiple jobs, it's not easy. Working 3 jobs 7 days a week was mentally, physically, and socially impacted me. Well, at the end of 1996, my sister asked me to help her around the house to take care of some odd and end jobs. You see, her husband passed away earlier that year. And so from changing her light bulbs, fixing her faucets, cutting her grass, and from there, she was able to refer me to my other family members, my cousins, aunties, and uncles. So in January 27, 1997, I took that leap and opened up my business. Of course, I was scared, I was nervous, but yet I was still excited and motivated to continue to start my new venture, my new business. Back then, I told myself that I am only going to do this job temporarily until I find myself that permanent job in what I studied, which was economics. So what I've seen, it's been 23 years, amazing. 23 years has gone by this quick. I have seen a continual growth in the business, from cutting a yard, my sister's yard, by myself, to where I'm at now with 21 employees. That is very dedicated and very hardworking. You know, in 23 years, the struggle is real. It was never easy peasy. It hasn't been, till today. I still have struggles. I struggle with cash flow. I got to worry about how to make money to pay my operating costs, my rent, utilities. Got to make sure we know how to make money to pay for my equipment. I struggled with accounting, which I'm not strong on. I struggled with customers, and especially I struggle with employees, so I can earn and I can figure out how I can maintain my steady workforce. It was difficult. It was very frustrating. Frustration always sets in. I have to worry about again employees, worry about weather, day-to-day operations. It's difficult. I eventually had to start doubting myself. You would have to doubt if you own your business. You doubt yourself. You have so much concerns. You start questioning yourself. Will I succeed? What am I doing here? Should I give up? But on the flip side of the coin, I'll tell you that you have to remind yourself that why you're in business. For me, within these past 20 some years, it's the flexibility that I really enjoyed. Flexibility of me being able to go pick up my kids while I was raising a young family. Was the flexibility of me watching my daughter play soccer. And I was still happy. I was able to be happy doing what I did, which is cutting grass. And I also had that sense of satisfaction, a sense of satisfaction of after completing a job that I made a customer happy, or I made the project look good. I tried my best. I've very passionate, and I also have a sense of fulfillment that I did own my own business. Owning a business is not easy, as everyone would know. It requires a ton of hard work, and with hard work, you got to put in the long hours, long days, long nights. You have to want it. You also got to stay focused. You got to stay dedicated. You got to be aggressive, but yet you still got to be humble. Hard work to me will test the person you are, and it will teach you to learn what kind of person you're gonna be. There is this saying that the more you learn, the more you earn. Well, the more you learn, the more you earn. You can earn knowledge. You can earn success. You have to learn as much as you can about the products and the services that you're providing as a business. You also have to learn your customers, what their needs, what their wants. You got to learn your employees, what makes them want to come to work, or what makes them not want to come to work, or what makes them want to work. But you also got to work, you have to learn your environment, learn to adapt. You have to learn to adapt to changes. By learning, you can be able to strategize what you have. And my strategy back then was to get customers that have grass to cut. Easy strategy. But my strategy is my roadmap to my goals. And I have one goal, is obviously to make money so I can live comfortably. But with those strategies and those goals, that should be your game plan to continue your business. But I'll tell you that game plans not always turn out to be what you want them to be. So you're going to have to diversify. You're going to have to adapt. You're going to have to change. Let's take, for instance, what's happening right now with COVID. COVID is devastating to our island and our business. there's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of not knowing what to do, what's next, what's the next procedure. You know, we have to expect the unexpected. It's really difficult. How do you survive COVID? You got to take it one day at a time as a business owner. You know, owning a business is already tough, but I'll tell you that COVID definitely made it harder. You know, now more than ever, I have to sacrifice. I have to change my priorities. I have to change my responsibilities. My game plan, my strategies have all changed, but my goal is still there. My goal of making money is still there, but making less and making enough is what I want. My strategies have changed. Before, the strategies of, you know, get as much customers as I can for cutting grass. Now my strategies has changed toward my employees. Now people who know me know that I work hard every day to keep my employees employed. And now I have to keep them safe also, keep them safe from COVID, make sure that our working environment and our workspace is clean. It is difficult. It's very challenging. So I ask you, if you are a business owner or if you're planning on being a business owner, please keep positive. Right now with this COVID, we will bounce back. Definitely, definitely. You know, there's this thing where if you do not take things for granted, you know, when times are hard, you have to remain strong, like right now. But when times are good, you have to enjoy your happiness. But at all times, be grateful of what you have. Gosh, you know, this job was what I told you was temporarily until I find me a permanent job. So about 15 years ago, I told myself, love it or leave it. Well, 15 years ago, I found my niche of what I love to do. And now I have my permanent job where I use what I studied, economics, every day in my business to keep my business afloat. You know, I love what I do. And to tell you the truth, in order for you to get ahead, you've got to get started now.
It appears as we're experiencing some technical
Now
difficulties
it's your time.
with Dom's video. Dom, are you back? Okay, we got a
Yes, I am.
temporary pause, so you can go ahead and go back again. Thank you.
Start all over.
Just the last maybe 5 seconds.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'll let you know my last 5 seconds, as I like to mention, is that I am passionate. I love, and in order for you
Yeah, Dom, if you could hear me, it
to get
appears your
ahead,
camera is
let me know.
frozen. Yeah, your camera froze for about another 5 seconds.
Oh
There
man,
appears to be
sorry.
some. Your talk is going wonderfully, by the way. Just
All right,
a little
thank
bit
you.
of lulls in the connections here. But go ahead and let's see if we can continue on.
Well, that's what I have right now for my speech, and I want to make sure that you know that being in business for this long and with being in business now, right now, is extremely challenging with COVID. It's hard. Don't get me wrong. But like I said, if you have any questions, please let me know, and I will be happy to answer them.
Okay, so we want to invite everybody that's on this Zoom call right now to put their questions in the chat box, and we'll share
Okay.
them with looking at them right now, and I don't see any specific questions, but I'd like to go ahead and start the questions rolling if you're done with your presentation.
Sure.
Personally, I've worked with you before and used your services, and you are a tremendous asset to the community and those who need, lawn care services, not just for personal residential, but also commercial. I've worked with you when I was with the Filipino community in Guam, so you also work
Yes,
with the nonprofit organizations, and
absolutely.
I can totally attest to your reliability and professionalism. So you talked about how difficult it is to get going from the ground up, and I'm sure there are a lot of folks who've heard entrepreneurs encourage them not to give up and to do the research and all that good stuff. If you could, let's say, look back at yourself and have a conversation with you at the start of your business from where you are now, what are some of the less obvious things that you would say to yourself so that you can get started very effectively?
Oh man, I'm going to tell you that when I first started, I was being very aggressive. I that saying of I chewed off too much than I can bite. Um, I always now I like to just handle enough of what my company can handle. I do not want to over expand. I just want to make sure we are comfortable and happy with what we have now. That would be my answer to that.
Great. We do have a question coming from the chat, and this is
Okay.
the question is, how did you first set up your bookkeeping, accounting, and tax preparation when you first set up, and how does that differ with what you're doing today?
Well, when I
Dom, can you hear me? There's a little bit of a freeze. Yeah. Uh, looks
first
like,
started, I was doing it by access. They take care of all my payroll. Am I still lagging?
okay, I got the part that you used to take care of your payroll by yourself. And today, do you actually hire accounting staff, or do you still pretty much oversee the process?
Absolutely. I have account. Hello? Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So I got the tail end of that. Now you actually hire staff to assist you with your accounting. Now, another question is, what is your experience in getting insurance for you you're a sole proprietor, right? In terms of your insurance coverage, what was your approach towards that?
Okay, that's been also I think for the last 12 years, I just finally got I've been using getting liability insurance. Once I started working more with the government agencies and realizing I have more employees, I went out. I was literally, I was forced to get my insurance, but I'll tell you this till right now that it is well worth it. Well worth having insurance for your business. It took care of me even till today. It took care of me whenever my men accidentally damaged a vehicle or broke a glass at a house. Without that insurance, I couldn't sleep well. I wanted to, oh my gosh, how am I going to pay for the damages for the car? But with insurance, which I have now, I just have to have that person deal with my insurance company, which I'll tell you, if you're going to own your business, please purchase your business insurance.
All right, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
If you're just joining us now, this is Dominic Sangil, and his business is Dom's Lawn Maintenance. There was a question about that in the chat. Another question is, when did you decide to go from a one-man operation to start hiring employees? What year and what milestone did you hit?
I think it was 1998. And the reason why I say that is because that's the year that we were hit with Typhoon Pongsangwa. And when I couldn't cut grass, I couldn't move the trees by myself. So I started to hire employees. I couldn't clean people's yards and take out all their damaged trees by myself. So that's when I first started hiring employees. And that was my change from being a single employee to multiple, to hiring.
All right. And we also have a couple other questions I want to try to squeeze in before we move on to our next element in this program. And that being with regard to employees in deciding when to hire part-time and when to keep full-time on payroll, how do you decide that? Because of course, within the year, not every month is going to be equally busy, right? So how do you manage that?
Well, I have my train of thought is like for my type of business, for every, if I pick up 6, 7 new customers, that is the time I start hiring a part-time employee. Once I hit 14, 16 new customers, that employee will move into a full-time position. So I work that way because not all employees can handle what we do. Everyone can say, okay, I can cut grass. But once you're out there working in that hot sun 5 days a week, 6 days a week, it really takes a toll on your body. So I have to really screen of what kind of guys and what kind of employees can handle this work.
Great, thank you for that. Another question is, how do you deal with competitors in your particular industry?
You know, I tell you, I see competition every single day. Every time we drive around, every time we go to a Nimitz Hill or Barrigada Heights, I see my competition. But honestly, I only compete against myself. I make sure my guys do the best job that we can do. And if the customer is not happy, we go back and fix it. Fix the problem until they're happy. So my competition is myself. I compete against myself continuously.
All right, and I think we have time for just a couple more questions. And
Sure.
The second to the last question I want to ask you is, based on what I see in the chat here, what is the biggest challenge in first working with employees? I'm sure your approach to when you first opened your business and hired your first set of employees is very different from what it is today, being a seasoned operator. How would you compare the two?
Oh man, the biggest challenge of employees are for my type of business is commitment. You know, it's very hard to find dedicated and loyal employees. And I tend to train them so I can make them work the way I want them to work because I have a standard when I cut yards, when I clean places, when I take care of properties. So I want my employees to uphold that standard. And it's extremely difficult when our employees don't want to reach that. So for me, it's, to tell you the truth, the way for me to teach them, I'm out there cutting grass with them. I love to cut with my team. Some people say, oh, your boss is cutting grass, so you know, they can work harder, they can look good also.
Okay, and Dom, we're just going to ask one last question. And throughout
Sure.
your presentation, you covered a number of different topics. Is there something that you're not often asked about when you're approached by young entrepreneurs and how to get their business off the ground that you want to share with them? So I guess a little nugget of success or secret that you may have, what would you share with them?
Let me think about this, because I've always thought that when I started this early in 1997, I didn't have what we're having now. I didn't know anything about what we're having, have somebody to help find that stepping stone for me to open up and to make the business better. I really appreciate what Gita's doing, what the Small Business Administration does, what UOG has done to help businesses. It's because I didn't have it, that doesn't mean I didn't go to it when I did see it. When I did see it, I finally started to come back into it. This is the stepping stone for small businesses. Before you want to do it, before you want to jump into it, you got to have your game plan. You got to have your business plan before you want to know if you can be successful or not.
All right. Thank you so much, Dam.
Thank you, Norm.
Yeah, for your inspiring message.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, and also for your insight on how to grow a small business from the ground up. So now while we transition to the next presentation, I would like to again recognize the partners who got this event off the ground with the Guam Economic Development Authority. They are the Guam Chamber of Commerce, the Women's Chamber of Commerce, the Small Business Development Center, and Guam Unique Merchandise and Art, otherwise known as GUMA. Now, there's a quote about marketing content that goes, "What separates good content from great content is a willingness to take risks and push the envelope." So I'd like to welcome back the administrator and CEO of GITA, Ms. Mel Mendiola, to introduce the next panel of experts for connecting to customers, marketing, and media strategies for your business.
DJ Khaled, we the best season as we turn. Cause I'm out here grinding. I do this for the streets, the runners. Cause I'm out here grinding. I don't care what nobody say, I'ma be me. Stay hood, stay raised in the streets. Talk about greatness whenever they speak about me. Cause I'm out here grinding. I ain't splitting nothing with nobody, homie. I gotta get me. Cause I'm out here grinding. I ain't slipping 8 days, I can go for 8 weeks. Ain't nothing to me, cause I am the street.
Put my life on the line, but I'm like me divine. I'm on top of the game, if you like it or not.
Hafa and good morning, everyone. Thank you, Norm, and welcome back, everyone. I'm so excited to introduce today's speakers. We have Mindy Uggan, Editor-in-Chief for the Post Guam. Mindy's no stranger to the media. As you may recall, her early days as a reporter for KUAM. She took on her job at the Post for 4 years ago, where she accelerated the circulation of the Post to become a formidable competitor in the world of local news. Our next panelist, Kaz Endo, is an accomplished designer, photographer. His work is published globally. He's written and produced an award-winning documentary and has provided branding, marketing, and business advice to large and small businesses over the last 25 years. During the pandemic, Kaz launched and is the host of Mint Talks, minttalks.com, okay, a podcast series found on Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, and more. Kaz is the Chief Creative Evangelist, that's quite a title, Kaz, of 8 Ronin, and Chief Experience Officer for Conquer OCR Sports. Man, those sound like excellent titles. I need to change Chief Experience Officer for the government of Guam, Mel Mendiola. Anyway, Derek Munya Kanata, our next panelist, owner of Guam Auto Spot. Sales and marketing is clearly in Derek's blood. He learned the automotive trade at a local dealership prior to venturing out and founding Guam Auto Spot and 6T Car Rental. Over the years, Guam Auto Spot's picked up multiple brands, including Buick, Mitsubishi, and GMC. And might I also add, Derek is a client of GITA under one of our programs here. Welcome to all of our panelists. Okay, so my very first question is, in a few words, why don't we go ahead and start with Mindy. In a few words, can you describe what effective marketing means to you?
Thanks so much for having us, Mel. I think Derek and I thought we were back in the clubs with that opening music. Effective marketing, really, to me, in a few words, is just influence. You know, it's causing someone to take action, whether it's purchasing something, voting for someone, as we saw in the recent election, just doing something or delivering a message.
Okay, great. How about you, Derek?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, Mel. Thanks for having me on. Hi, Mindy. Hi. So, you know, really, effective marketing strategy in our business is just making sure that our go-to-market strategy is in line with our customer acquisition cost and delivers a positive return on marketing investment. So.
Awesome. And you, Cause?
Cause.
Good morning, everybody. Yeah, sorry. Effective marketing for me is very different from what my clients tell me. They say we need the sales, Cause we need the sales. But for me,
We need to
it
talk about
is
marketing.
about it's all
I
about
don't need to market myself.
having retention and making sure that the customers keep you in the top of mind, you know, and having that frequency of thought from the customer. If you can do that, and you're one of the top 3 people that they remember when they need something, you're doing a good job.
Great. Oh, can I all just note that we're all kind of like matching. We're kind of in the same color, this sort of black and white look. I'm digging this. It's like it was meant to be. That this is the snazziest looking panel we've had so far. It's just the smartest looking panel. I mean, I love it. It's like you guys planned this. All right. So Cause, can you give us a moment? Can you take some time to differentiate branding versus marketing? Okay,
let me give it a shot here. I think with most people, they kind of merge it all together, right? They think that, and branding is certainly under marketing, but they're very different approaches. For branding, I would tell people that's more of the emotional triggers that you want from your company. You know, how do people feel about your company? How do they feel about your brand? Versus marketing, that's more of the quantitative items. You know, what is your product? How much does it cost? Where does it get distributed? How do you promote it? Branding itself is telling people why you exist, and marketing is telling people what it is you do and how you do it. And when you can separate those things, then you can approach each one very much more with discipline, and you don't kind of mishmash a message. And so you see great brands like Apple or Nike or Starbucks. They have a very strong brand message of who they are, but then, you know, they follow that execution of how and why they do it to perfection, and that's why they have fans around the world.
Great. So Derek, now, when you were getting started, I know everybody has seen an AutoSpot YouTube commercial, but when you were first getting going, what were some of the earlier thoughts you had about branding and marketing? You know, did you start off with a budget? Did you contract it out? Did you do it in-house? What'd you do, man?
So before I answer that, I want to thank Gita, and especially the former Gita administrator, Carl Pangilinan, because if it wasn't for Gita and the SSBCI program, AutoSpot would not be here. So you guys are incredible. I wanted to make sure I shout that out, especially to Carl, because he keeps texting me and to remind people about the SSBCI program. But to answer your question, you know, when I first started, I used to sit and watch TV and admire all the big boys, or, you know, the monster dealerships in the business, and watch their ads and look at their big full page spreads on the newspaper, and and hope one day I would get to that point. And I remember one year I spent so much money advertising on all the traditional channels, and I spent so much, and I made the same amount of money as I was prior. And, you know, I went back to the fundamentals. And when I first started, I started online, and I had no money, and I started on a shoestring budget, and it was really an eye opener, because what I was doing in the beginning and what I thought I should be doing was just doing what I knew all the time, and that was stick to my digital strategy, and it worked for me. And I was able to compete with all these big players in the industry on a shoestring budget, and just going online. Everything I've been doing online, I really felt like I disrupted a market that was stagnant. I came in, I'm a local boy from Talafofo, and I'm now competing with multinational corporations. And I think it's a true testament that digital strategy is here to stay. And if your company is not moving into that, you know, and you could start with nothing. You can get on YouTube with your phone. You can get on TikTok. You can get on Facebook, and you don't really need much but creativity. And I use that to my advantage, really, and it's paid off.
Yeah. Now, following up on that question, Derek, can you share any rookie mistakes that you made or folks that you worked with made in the early days that if you had it to do over, you would have just been like, yeah.
You know what? It was because I was a rookie and because I had the audacity to just try anything, right? And especially when it comes to marketing, I would I would do the craziest things, like just build content around just watching MTV Cribs and doing little walkarounds with vehicles and putting that out there and hoping that would convert customers. But at the time, I thought, and everybody thought it was crazy, was people were just using the internet and using websites to display information about their companies versus actually trying to use websites to convert. Right? I was the first company that was that had a true digital retailing platform where customers can get online, look at my inventory, look at the car, and I had like 30 pictures per vehicle. And then they would click on a link that would take them straight to their financing options. And I was working with different banks at the time. So, it wasn't really a rookie mistake. I really felt like being young and having the audacity to just try different things when all these big companies were too afraid to move from the traditional means of advertising. So I was out in front of the market before it even got there. And it was the right time for me. So it was more of a lesson than a mistake, but it worked out for me perfectly.
An opportunity. That's awesome. That's awesome, Derek. Thank you. And what about you, Kaz? Can you share any rookie mistakes or opportunities that you've experienced with your clients, or even just building your own businesses?
Oh, well, if we're going to talk about my mistakes, we better extend this to like 5 o'clock. Plenty of mistakes being made over the years. I think, though, to focus on a rookie mistake, it is the mistake. Unlike Derek, I'm not a retailer, right? I am doing things for clients. I am creating messages and branding for clients. And probably at that stage, when I started at 24, 25, the firm, I focused on what I wanted to do versus thinking about the client and what they wanted out of their company. And so there was a lot of, head bashing at meetings because I tend to speak my mind, and that's one thing that they appreciated about me. But on the other end, you really don't want to have to, as a client, try to explain who you want to be. So I've learned to listen more as I get older and try to deliver the best version of what the customer wants to be versus me delivering what I think they should be, because that's a very different pathway. So I still like the 24-year-old me because the knees don't hurt as much. And I feel that creatively, I was a lot more willing to take a lot of risks. But the mature me feels that I'm a far more effective consultant to clients because I've learned the ability to listen and apply that to their brand versus me trying to take over their brand and deliver something for me. So that's probably my rookie mistake.
That's a great learning lesson. Now, for those who just, there were a few names I saw pop in and join us since the session started. We have with us Mindy Uggen, Editor-in-Chief for the Post Guam, Kaz Endo, Chief Creative Evangelist of 8 Ronin and Chief Experience Officer for Conquer OCR Sports. And we have Derek Munya Kanata, owner of Guam Auto Spot and 6T Car Rental. All right, now moving on. This question is directed to Mindy. So Mindy, we have a lot of people who may be afraid or intimidated by traditional media. Maybe their thought is that it's expensive or out of reach for them. What are your thoughts on this, and why is it important, and how can it be accessible to small business?
Thanks, Mel. I think traditional media should not be intimidating at all. I think one of the greatest reasons why you'd want to dedicate a marketing budget when launching a new small business on Guam to traditional media is because it gets you directly to your local audience. So with traditional media, as a new business owner, a big difference is you know what you're going to get. For instance, at the Post, we can tell you how many papers go out to island homes, businesses, get in inboxes. We can tell you how many page views you're going to see on our, you're going to get on our website. Our circulations nearly triple our competitors. And we're also not just a newspaper, as you know, to Derek's point, you know, traditional media, we've had to pivot and change too. So, you know, we're not just a newspaper anymore. We're a multimedia company. We're producing video content. We're active on social media. We've got a thriving website, as I mentioned, over 2.5 to 3 million page views a month, and over 70% of that is all local eyeballs. So that's people on Guam. We all know how much people love news. You know, whether it's good or bad, but they want to be informed. And I think that that's one of the really cool things about Guam is residents want to know what's happening here. And so they're looking to traditional media. So it really provides opportunities for a new business or small business to get in front of a large local audience. You know, I think everybody knows you're bombarded with you know, ads on Google, on email, your mobile app, on social media, on YouTube or whatever. But to be on a website that people go to every day, to, you know, to be in a tangible product that people read every day, to be on a mobile app that they check multiple times a day because they're trying to find out what happens. You're in a trusted and credible product. You know, that's why people come to us, because they rely on us to provide credible information. To your point about people thinking that it's expensive or it's out of reach, I'd say that we really pride ourselves, you know, in being an affordable solution for many small businesses to give them the audience that they want, you know, in a single day in our paper and online, people really have access to tens of thousands of potential customers. And so, yes, you could pay $10 a day on Facebook and, you know, boost an ad and not really reach that audience that the target audience that you're looking for. And then, you know, when you're buying from, you know, whether it's the Guam Daily Post or, you know, ads on TV on KUAM or on Hit Radio 100 or The Point or whatever, you're supporting a locally owned media outlet. You're supporting local business. You're not supporting a big tech giant. So if you're a local company, why not support local business and, you know, support local businesses with people who work here, who live here, who have families here and call Guam home. So that's what I would say in terms of traditional marketing, that it doesn't have to be expensive. It can be affordable. And most importantly, it gets you to your target audience.
So Mindy, can you, just building on that to the next question, so how do you gauge if the followership or the engagement or the readership translates into sales? How much of a lag are we looking at? How do we know if it's working or not?
Well, for us, we know it's working. So we saw a slump in advertising during the pandemic. Obviously, the first lockdown, you know, a lot of our advertisers called and they're like, you know, we can't be open. And so we shifted to pushing our digital, our e-edition subscriptions. And so we saw an increase in that. We even saw an increase in home delivery subscriptions. I think because people were stuck at home and you know, the older generation maybe isn't getting online as much, or they, you know, they get bored being at home all day. So they wanted a tangible product to be able to look at. So we saw an increase there during the pandemic because people were really looking to get the information. And I think to figuring out how it translates, you know, for us, content is king. So, you know, whether that's news content, whether it's, you know, a branded content from a sponsor, from an advertiser, I think it gets them in front of an audience and they can relate to that, they can relate to the content that's being put out. So for us, I think that's where we're seeing, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought here. So I think that's where we're seeing an increase, and we're able to see that it translates into sales because we're pushing out more in terms of our subscription. We're putting out more advertising in print for our like in-house promotions. And then we're also seeing, we're hearing from clients who were advertising with us when the lockdown lifted. And we started to see more ads. So for instance, we had an advertiser who put an ad on the front page of the paper. And the ad came out one day. They did not put it on any other media. And they contacted us the following day and they said, we have to change it. We have to change it. We have to change it. And we said, what's wrong? And they said, we ran out of the ingredients of the product that we put out for this particular offer. And so they ended up creating this whole campaign with that particular special, but, you know, offering other specials because it was so popular. So I think that, you know, that's one example of seeing it translate into dollars specifically for our clients.
Right. That's great. So now, Kaz, what about you? How do you know when the followership or the engagement, how do you gauge the success of it translating into sales?
Are you talking about marketing campaigns and sales?
Sure. Yeah. Yes.
Well, I mean, it's different for every business, I think. And, you know, everybody wants to take credit for when things go right, and everybody points at the other media, and other people go, well, it would have worked if you just listened to me and not gone there. But I think there's very different triggers in retail, particularly, you know, low cost decision making is fairly quickly. You know, you put a can of Spam for sale, two for 20, you know, two for $2. You're going to see the immediate results. I think something a little bit different, like what Derek does with automobiles, and a little bit more higher cost purchasing decisions take a little bit more effort. You know, you need to sell the image of them in that car. You need to sell them on the beauty of the design and the brand, and the, you know, make the quality of it. You don't really go into the features. That's the sales team's job. So there's a coordinated effort between what media does, and then the handshake that goes down to the sales team. I think I saw Mr. Toshi Doi here somewhere. You know, hotels would be similar. You know, you sell an image of the resort, you sell the image of the rooms, but at the end of the day, the product is a living, breathing experience. And so, you know, customers may buy initially, but it's really the experience of their time there that's going to sort of close the deal of having them come back. So it's difficult to say what will trigger what results, and how you can credit one effort over another. And this is why social media particularly has been very popular the last 5 to 8 years, depending on how long you've been using it. You know, there's something that was traditionally missing in you know, old traditional media, particularly less print and more like radio and television locally, because we don't have a rating system here. You know, there's no Nielsen ratings covering television or you know, radio listenership. There's no way to figure that out. With print, you had audited circulation. You could make some type of logical decision on where to spend, how to spend. Social media, they provide you the metrics. Now, you know, granted, if you don't understand how to read the metrics, you know, it's still a waste of money, because some people are really impressed with certain numbers, like followers and likes, and, you know, mistake that for, oh, I'm going to get a lot of sales, you know, when in fact, you may be just having a lot of followers, but there's no engagement. So it's still a complicated game. It's not necessarily rocket science, but there is some science behind it. And just like doctors, you know, we call this a practice because we're always practicing. Nobody has the right answers. I did want to add, while I still have the microphone, Mindy's post, just to kind of touch on your earlier question about what did I learn. The old me, because I helped redesign the post. It was Mariana's Variety, if you all remember that brand, Guam Variety. And I got hired to kind of come in as an outside consultant to reinvigorate the brand. And Mindy, you would have been the publisher and editor of the Guam Daily Loop if it were up to me, but it became the Guam Daily Post. And when Derek, it just jogged my mind when he was complimenting Carl. Yeah, you would have had loopers. And Derek, when he first started the dealership, I remember he gave me a call. Actually, on Facebook, he left me a message, say, "Hey, I'm going to need your help." But at the time, I was working with another dealership, and if anything, what Derek has shown over the years, using social media smartly and just really understanding how to do that process. You know, I mean, that was this is when he was first beginning, right? And I'm pretty, you know, it's pretty impressive where he's brought the business. So it's kind of neat that we sort of all share the panel today, just coincidentally. All right. So I
Yeah.
hope that answered your questions. Yeah.
That's awesome. Derek, tell us about TikTok, you know, because, okay, we all see Buick national commercials, right? But then you bring it home, you bring it local with your commercials. And I know you use TikTok. So tell us, what has it been doing for you? Has it been translating into anything good as far as sales are concerned?
You know, because sales have completely slumped. I mean, the market is really tough right now. I think year over year, the car market has dropped like 30%. We started seeing a decrease in market since 2018 when North Korea faced the missile to Guam. So, you know, COVID. You know, we were actually preparing for what COVID brought to us, and I had to revert back to my fundamentals, which was free advertising. And you know, I wanted to bring up something first. Is, you know, Mindy and Kaz obviously does a great job with the Post and how they transform that traditional media paper, and now people have to. I'm going to be forced next year to relook at my budget and have to go back into print because she's taken a lot of the users and a lot of the eyeballs back to her traditional media. Now I have to pick up the Post and figure out what everybody's doing. I have to also go and look at what they're doing online. A lot of their content is all over the place. So, you know, they've done an incredible job, and it's forcing companies like me to rethink my total marketing budget and make sure that I'm adding print. And they're not even print, they're just a content creation machine. And really, that's what it comes down to. And when you look at TikTok, you can create content in 15 seconds. I just hired somebody out up front, and you know, I noticed they had 20,000 TikTok followers, and I said, well, you're answering phones and you're creating TikToks. So, you know, my receptionist went online, made a TikTok, and she got 8,000 views from Guam in, you know, less than a day. And you know, to us, I can look at my analytics, and I'm watching on one of my many screens that are in front of me. I watch real time what's happening. And one of the cool things about the way my infrastructure is set up, or my digital infrastructure is set up, is I can put something out. I can put out either a message, it's part of my go-to market strategy for the week or the month. And the moment I hit send, in about 10 or 15 minutes, I can watch all the traffic on my website increase. I can see exactly what car they're looking at. I can see exactly what button on my site they're looking at, and I can see where they came from. So if they're coming from TikTok, if they're coming from Facebook, if they're coming from a digital ad that, you know, I had on the Post, or, you know, wherever I or Google Display, I can see it real time. I have 25,000 followers on Facebook. I have more followers than any other dealership. I have about 4,000 followers on Instagram. I have 3,000 YouTube followers and 7,000 TikTok followers. So the moment I take my content, wherever it's created, if I shoot a commercial, a 30 or 60-second commercial, and then I deploy it throughout all the different platforms, I have at least 30 or 40,000 people I can reach with one click. So, you know, lately I've been using TikTok to generate quick content that's consumable, right? I try to stop. I don't want to do the hard sell anymore. The hard sell is, I personally believe the hard sell is one and done. Nobody likes watching it. My kids, I watch my kids skip ads all day. And my daughter's watching her phone, and I can hear an auto spot ad come up, and she skips it. I'm like, baby, you cannot skip the ad. She's like, Dad, I'm watching Among Us. And I'm like, the ad pays for Among Us. Don't you dare skip the ad. So there's a no skip ad policy in my household, but but really, you know, it works. And the amount of followers that you have and the ability to deploy a message across all the platforms and having that amount of followers really makes a difference. And that has been built for a long time. I want to go back to some of my fundamentals and increase my followership, because right now my next move is really going back into just purely content creation, constant content creation, and not hard selling, just, you know, doing things that are trending and, you know, add a little branding in the background.
That's great. That's awesome. I love the story about how you're answer the phones and make TikToks. That's your job. That kind of really takes me to the next thing. You know, over here at Gita, we basically find the youngest person in the office and we say, okay, your job is to update the Instagram or update the Facebook. But over time, it just feels like we need something a little more holistic. I feel like there's just a lot of missing pieces when you take that just one and done type of strategy. So I wanted to kind of turn it back over to Mindy and just your thoughts about businesses, content creation. Should businesses be hiring in-house? Should they be outsourcing? What do you think? I mean, yours is content like the news content, but from the perspective of a business marketing, should they be hiring out? Should they be just doing it in-house? And then I'll ask Kaz the same.
I think it depends on the business. I think for us, obviously, we do it in-house, as you mentioned, and that's all we do. We do content creation all day, every day, and we know that it's what's bringing people to the site. So for us, it just makes sense handling it in-house. It allows us also to really review our analytics, and we have a team. We do have one of the youngest people on our team who does help with like Instagram and Facebook stories, but that's about as far as her responsibilities go, because we are a news organization, we really look at what we're putting out, and so it made sense for us to hire somebody part-time. As I mentioned, she's the youngest one, to just do kind of simple things, posting up some photos with some captions that have already been pre-approved and things like that. And then for some of the heavier lifting, we have another team that handles that. But I think for us, for a small business, somebody who's just starting out, it can be really daunting to think about like, oh my gosh, I need to have a Facebook and I need to have an Instagram and I need to do a TikTok and a YouTube. And so I think that you really need to look at your personal business and figure out, hey, does this make sense for me personally, to hire somebody who's experienced and can at least get me off the ground and maybe teach me along the way so that eventually I can do it. I think that might be, a good thing for small businesses. And then other people, there's so many resources out there. I've taken courses during this pandemic that people can go online for to learn about things. But I think, it's not hard. It's easy for someone to go and start a Facebook or an Instagram and just hit boost. And, I want to send this out to Guam and I want to get 100,000 followers, but it's not going to translate into sales if you're not engaging with that audience and you're not giving them content that is interesting and something that they want to talk about. To Derek's point, it's not just the hard sell of, posting up the car ad or putting the front page of a newspaper up there. It's actually getting people to relate to your brand, I think. So my suggestion would be is, take some courses and see if it's something that you're absolutely, like, if it's so foreign to you and you just can't, then, maybe it would be better that you hire somebody to help you along the way and maybe train you. Maybe that's a good business actually that somebody should consider is opening up to handle social media and do some training locally to help people, small business. Maybe Gita can put together a conference on that in the future.
I tell you what, we could use the help, and I personally could use the help. I can't even take a good selfie, but
neither can I.
Because how do we go about, how does a small business go about looking for help, looking for either hiring out, hiring in-house? What do they do?
Yeah. Well, the question is a binary one that you asked, and I think that it's not a binary answer for me anyway. In my opinion, it's what Derek has done with his, for example, the receptionist. He realized that she had some type of vibe with it, so he said, "Hey, you're going to answer phones and do TikTok," and that's brilliant. And he's gotten the organic sort of setup. But what if she quits tomorrow, or what if I hire her tomorrow? What's your number again, Derek, at the dealership? Then he loses that, right? So I think that for small businesses, it's really about time, money, and ability. So if you have the time and money to invest in it, I would recommend going with a third party first, not to necessarily run your social media, but to establish and help you establish good practices, best practices, and also help you understand what it is that you're looking at. Because the worst thing that can happen is you start a campaign on social media, you're sort of guessing your way through it. And, I kind of use the example of, you can always go to Home Depot and build yourself a cabinet. But if you've never done cabinetry before, if you're not a carpenter, you're going to end up with a cabinet, but it's just not going to be the cabinet you thought you wanted to make, right? Versus maybe hiring a carpenter and watching the carpenter work and saying, okay, that's why he cut it that way. That's how he's supporting the cabinet. That's the kind of nail he used. That's the kind of screw he used. There's reason behind things. So if you have the ability to hire a professional, do so. And, just sort of to get rid of the myth, the guys that are in the business, like for ourselves, for example, we're content management. We call that content management. We don't actually want to do it for the client forever, because it does become a stagnant position, right? If we're in the idea business, we kind of want to sort of do something for a little bit and then jump ship and then do something because that's our business. We want to keep going with different directions and different ideas. So for example, Nissan, we did a social engagement thing, but it was an actual, physical activity when we attempted the Guinness World Record on Guam. That
Yes,
was
I remember that.
purely a big swing. It had nothing to do with selling cars. And like Derek would say, it's about content, and it was about the drama of, could we do it? Did we do it? What was going to happen? Were we going to get certified and get the record? So that's an example of what we would do. Now, if somebody else called me and said, hey, we want to do a world record too, I would decline, not because I don't think we could probably find a way to do it. It's just, it's been done. So what's the point of doing it again, right? I don't want to make a business of sort of repeating. I don't want to be the Tupperware of marketing, where you just continuously reuse me over and over, and slowly I get greasy and, unappealing, and you throw me away. But yeah, the organic approach is always the best, obviously, and that comes from the business owner. He or she, or in certain cases, partnerships, they need to embody the brand, and so it's always a more honest approach, social media wise. The engagements are going to be more honest. But if you don't quite know what you're doing, then you should seek help, whether it be friends who can do it better, whether it be a professional firm, or take the time, like Mindy said, you got to just learn. You got to learn. But I think a lot of people are initially enamored by the term free, but as Mindy and Derek will probably attest, there's nothing free about social media. There's a lot of time and energy that is spent creating the content behind the likes and the follows. And so I would say, if you're starting out as a business and you cannot keep up the inventory to keep people's attention, because it's a ferocious appetite, people that want to have that content. You do have one ability that didn't exist before in traditional media, and that is to repurpose someone else's work without necessarily copying it. Meaning, there's a retweet, right, or a share feature, and that's a great way to balance your content inventory, where you don't feel overwhelmed in having to create so much of your own, and then you still avoid any kind of copyright issues, because you're literally just sharing, and that's the whole point of social media, to share. So that would be my advice. It's not a binary decision you have to make as a business. Do I hire in-house or do I hire somebody else to do it? There's a lot of costs that comes with hiring in-house. They ask for raises. Usually agencies can't ask for raises from their clients. We actually get beat up to do the same service for less, especially during hard times. We don't get vacation days. It may be Christmas, but if the client wants a Christmas post, then it goes up. And try that with an employee, it doesn't happen. So that's the kind of the operational side you have to kind of balance. But I think you can achieve what you want to do by spending the time to learn the product. If you don't have the time, then hire somebody to do it. But you should be invested in it and learn what's going on, so that you can be like, Derek, he's a social media dictator in his office, right? He's got all the screens. So you know, you want to get to that point if you're a business owner, because you want to know what people are talking about, and if they're talking good or bad about you, you want to know that.
All right, we're starting to come up on time, so I wanted to ask this last question of Derek. Derek, can you share with the audience how you believe COVID has changed how companies market themselves to customers?
You know, I that's a great question, Mel. And initially, when COVID hit the island, you know, we had to step back and think, like, you know, did we really want as AutoSpot to continue to put a message out there that, you know, we're able to, you know, take online shopping while, you know, people were afraid and, you know, places were closing, and we were fortunate enough to keep our service department open. But we have always been online, and where other businesses had to transform how they operate and how they get in front of customers, we were already there. But I think what COVID did was COVID really forced people to take a deep look at how they get in front of customers and rethink their marketing strategies and force them online. You know, you have to also think about the message, because at a time when, you know, we're at our 100th death, right? And there's 100 people that have died already. You have to be very cautious about the message you're putting out there. So for the first 3 or 4 months of COVID, we were just talking about how we're here to help, right? We're not trying to sell you a car. If you needed, you know, help with your groceries, right, and you couldn't leave your house, we offered a service to send our team down to your house and drop groceries off to you. We offered home delivery for any of the cells. And we just came to the point where we just wanted to be a part of helping the community get through this. And I think that, you know, we not only, you know, did we have to be concerned about the message you're getting out there, but really turn into a business that wanted to just contribute to the community while all of this was happening. And COVID has really changed our life. But fortunate enough for Guam AutoSpot, we've been online, and it definitely strengthened what we've been, you know, trying to tell the industry. I really didn't, you know, this has always been my secret sauce, right? You know, digital advertising, digital retailing. And I was here far before a lot of the companies that have been on Guam for a while. And everybody would ask me, like, hey, how'd you do this? And I try to be as mum as possible without being disrespectful, because this is my secret sauce, and this is how I've been able to bring my company with my team to this level. So I think, you know, COVID has changed us, but I think it's made us stronger, and it has made us more efficient. And right now, you know, God willing, you know, we keep the control, or we control the spread out there, and our economy continues to stay alive during this pandemic, because I know a lot of people are suffering, but here at AutoSpot, we're here to help during this time.
Great, thank you. So that's about it for us as far as time wise today. There are a few questions in the chat box directed to individuals in the panel. And so we'll go ahead and forward those to you, Derek. And there's also one for you, Mindy, as well. So we wanted to thank you again. Obviously, all three of you are highly knowledgeable. I started to write down a few notes. I said, not to mention creative, ambitious, and colorful, but you know, we're all black and white today, so maybe not as colorful today. But I'm absolutely sure the audience has learned a lot from today, and we do appreciate the time you've taken to explain to the audience all about the Marketing 101 and the marketing nuts and bolts for small businesses. All right. Thanks again.
Thank you, Mel.
Thank you, Mel.
Thank you.
Good luck, everybody.
Back to you, Norm.
Right. Well, thank you, Mel, Kaz, Mindy, Derek, for that wonderful presentation. We have a short intermission for you all. And so if you want to take this time to stretch your legs and take this also opportunity to learn from some young viral social media presences who are sharing tips on how to use social media to create viral content for your company.
Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Ed Suarez, and I'm the host of the Ed Space podcast on Spotify. And today, we're going to be talking about 3 tips on how to stand out on social media and help you grow your business. First and foremost, you got to tell your story. It's absolutely important that your audience knows exactly what you're about. Really bring out the heart of your brand, because the more genuine, the better. As consumers, we gravitate more towards products and services that we can relate to. Number 2, consistency is key. If you're a brand new business or you're trying to really expand your following, I would highly recommend that you post at least 1 to 2 times a day, just because by posting consistently, the message that you're trying to get across has a higher chance of making it through the noisy world of social media. So just keep that in mind as you are producing your content. And last but not least, engage with your audience. Respond to comments, respond to DMs, and really get into that community. Because again, as far as gaining and retaining customers, it's very important that you're accessible to them. Again, don't forget to tell your story, be consistent, and engage your audience. My name is Ed, and you have just been fed. I'll catch you guys on the radio waves.
Hi there everyone, I'm Cami Aguirola, and today I'm going to be sharing some tips and some tricks on how to expand brand awareness on social media. Now, the first tip I have for everyone is what I like to call the golden rule of social media, and that is engage with others the way that you want people to engage with your profile. Now, this includes reposting people who tag your photos, commenting on other posts, or replying to comments on your posts. Now, all of these things may sound simple, but what it does is it really makes your audience understand and feel like they're being heard and that they're being included in the narrative that you're trying to create for your brand. This will also help bring in numbers, and those are perfect for when you want to show clients that people are not only looking at your content, but they're really engaging and participating in what you have to offer. Now, my next tip is be a show-off. I know this sounds harsh at first, but what I mean is sharing the product and what customers can potentially buy or gain from your brand is so important. Now, this includes showing what the product is, showing the people who work with you to propel your product forward. It also includes sharing what they can get out of that product or service. Now, the last tip I have for you is track your progress reports. The great thing about these social media apps is that they are giving you these analytics and insights into how people connect with your product and with your page on social media. It also gives businesses an opportunity to look at what's the best time for them to post content, who's looking at it, and where they come from, so that you can create dialogue that's really easily accessible for the people who actually watch what you're putting out. In the end, this saves time and money, things that are very valuable to you and your brand. Now, I hope you enjoyed my tips and tricks on how to expand your brand awareness using social media. Sudus Maasi for having me.
Hi today, my name is Celia Anderson, owner of Glitters Girl Jewelry and part owner of Bonita Baby Boutique. And throughout this year, we've grown our social media platform by over 300%. So one tip I have is that the riches are in the niches. So find and establish your niche so that you can better position and promote your business. Another tip is to create a positive and friendly environment across all your social media platforms so that you can build relationships and connect with your customers. And the last tip is to keep your social media posts simple and sweet, because too many words are going to cloud your message or lose your customers' interest.
Hi, my name is Mindy Blas. I'm the owner and designer of Kainani Swimwear, and here's a few tips on how we use social media to expand our business. First tip, create a message that resonates with your target audience, whether it be through your photos, your captions, your video clips. Portray that message to the best of your ability, but still make it relatable. Second tip, engage. Engage with your customers genuinely and authentically, and create a sense of community. Your engagement boosts the chances of your business or your products or your brand potentially reaching new customers. Third tip, collaborate. Collaborate with like-minded individuals or creators or even businesses that share the same values as you. Collaborating with them puts your business in front of a new audience, which means that your business can grow. In addition to that, the plus side is you not only make a good connection, but you're also supporting another small business. Thanks for your time. Again, my name is Mindy Bloss with Karnani Swimwear. I hope you find these tips useful. Good luck with your endeavors.
Howdy, my name is Kyle Bloss and I'm a photographer and videographer from Guam. I'm going to be sharing a few tips and tricks when using social media as a platform to boost your business. So I feel like creating a schedule and being consistent with that schedule is very important when using social media to promote your business. Platforms such as Instagram have business insights which allow you to track when your follower base is the most engaging with your posts. And this will give you a better understanding on when the best times of the day and which days are the best for you to make your posts. I believe video content is very important when it comes to promoting your business through social media. It tends to grab the attention of people a lot greater than your typical posts when people are scrolling, and allows you to give character to your business and also tell your story.
Stay active, stay engaged, like posts, comment posts, share posts. Usually people really appreciate the love and will give the love back. So for me, I would normally hype up my friends' posts or even businesses with like emojis and everything. It kind of just shows like appreciation and value of their posts, and it also shows them support. So engagement is key. Learn some basic photography. You don't have to be the best photographer in the world, but learning like basic knowledge about angles and lightings and what looks good on different things, whether it's your brand or yourself, can go a long way. Collaborations, a big factor of growth to my brand is being able to work with multiple talents, whether it's from a big brand or a small business to celebrities to wedding clientele. So for example, you work on a project and once that content gets released, it's like a chain reaction of followers being able to see this, and which will lead to potential followers of yours or even future clients or future business. Content creation is art. It's supposed to be fun. Think outside the box. And if you are not happy with what you put out, you can always delete it and start again, or adjust it, repost it, and hopefully you do well.
Off day, I'm Frank the Crank Camacho, UFC fighter, owner of digital marketing company Crank Industries, and full-time husband and father. Social media has really enabled me to digitally reach an audience locally and globally, just at the touch of my fingertips. As a professional athlete, staying relevant, accessible, and providing value to my audience really coincides with my success online. Showcasing my achievements, my values, my culture, and family life on digital platforms really just provides me that. In this ever-evolving world of technology, Crank Industries provides my clients and myself the ability to really crank up their business, gives them the edge over their competitors. Social media marketing is kind of like fighting. You must increase your skill sets. You have to roll the punches and you have to throw some counters. If you're unwilling to adapt, be prepared to take some losses. Be a champ and crank up your social media marketing.
Well, thank you for that very insightful video. Our next keynote speaker will be discussing how he diversified his family business. Robert Salas II, or Rob, is the president of Pacific Federal Management Incorporated, or PFM. Rob established PFM in 2017 and spearheaded the tremendous growth PFM has achieved over the past 3 years. As a licensed attorney and certified public accountant in California, Rob worked at the public accounting firm PricewaterhouseCoopers LLP, where he managed several accounts for Fortune 100 companies. Rob moved to Guam in 2014 and worked as a director of operations for LMS, one of the largest federal contractors on island. Rob strategically led LMS to embrace business ventures that diversified the company's portfolio of products and services. Rob has leveraged these experiences to fuel the growth of PFM, allowing the company to recently diversify into the construction industry. Rob holds leadership positions in several organizations, including the Rotary Club of Tumon Bay, Smart Trees Pacific, Guam Young Professionals, and the Father Duenas Memorial School Endowment Board.
Big things poppin', and little things stoppin'. Big things poppin', okay, and little things stoppin'. Big things poppin', and little things stoppin'. Ball on these upper shout at Lucas, and now do it, do it what you wait for. Cause I'ma do it what you wait for. Do it what you wait for. Do it, let me hear you say, big things poppin', and little things.
Good day, everyone. I hope everyone's enjoying the presentation so far. I'm extremely excited to be a part of this. The agenda looks amazing. They put me right after the marketing guys, who are always the most exciting, so I got to be in my A game. So that being said, it's about 2 in the morning where I'm at right now. So don't ask if I'm wearing my pajamas as I'm doing this presentation. My name is Robert Salas. I'm the president of Pacific Federal Management, Inc. We are a fairly new company, established in 2017, and today we have 170 employees. We are in the environmental and construction industry. With respect to our environmental services, we basically save the trees. We work with Guam's listed and endangered species. Specifically, we team with the Guam Plant Extinction Prevention Program to identify and assess the trees, salvage and transplant the trees, maintain and monitor them. We recently completed a project where we transplanted over 22,000 native plants. This is the largest of its kind on island. We were happy with the success, and we actually won an award with the Guam Contractors Association. Recently, we diversified into the construction industry. This happened only in December, and it was a huge gamble for us. But today, we work with the largest contractors on island. We have anywhere from 5 to 7 active projects at any given time. And when we first started, we had 20 to 30 construction-related employees. Today, we have about 120. So that being said, I do not have a background in environmental work. I'm not a scientist, and I'm horrible at identifying plants. I also do not have a construction background. I am the slowest person ever to put together IKEA furniture. I am, however, a certified public accountant and a licensed attorney in California. I worked with PricewaterhouseCoopers for about 5 years before I moved back to Guam. So today we're going to go focus on our Excel sheets. We're going to learn about pivot tables, VLOOKUPs. Okay, I'm just kidding. We're not going to do that. I want to actually talk about the journey I've had starting PFM and some of the struggles that I had along the way. I want to talk about some of the opportunities that came in front of me and some of the analysis I did in trying to seize those opportunities. And I want to just give some general advice as an entrepreneur for those of you who are interested in starting their own business. So first, the subject of financing. This is something that any startup has to deal with, but honestly, it involves all life cycles of the business. So you're going to generally have 3 forms of financing, and I don't want to spend too much time on this because I know you already discussed this in the previous presentations, but you can either self-finance your business, you can seek outside investment, they'll probably want some equity, or you can go through a lending institution to get some debt. With my case in the startup of PFM, the first thing I did was identify how much money I really needed. What were my initial capital expenditures going to be? You have your licensing, your permits, your insurance, you have your equipment, you have your computers, your phones, your iPads, you have your vehicles. I try to run as lean of a business as possible and pretty much use personal items as much as I could. The marketing standpoint of things, I knew I wanted to be primarily business to business. So I actually kept my marketing expenses fairly low. And I really spent some money just making my logo and sticking with that. So I didn't spend too much in marketing. Try to keep a lean operation. I really kept very small office space. I had about a 200 square foot office rental, maybe about $500 a month. And I only had 1 full-time staff. I was really trying to work with people on the weekends and really try to keep my operating expenses as low as possible. That being said, I expected my fixed cost to be around $30,000 a year. So I knew that I had enough initial funds to last me for a good amount of time to cover those fixed costs and still maintain my own standard of living. That being said, the next point you need to think about is your sales. How much sales are you going to project for the year? Are you going to have enough sales to cover the fixed costs? So in making that analysis, you have to look at your cost of sales. So for me, I expected my cost of sales to be about somewhere between 40 to 60%. I was expecting for every dollar I made, I had to spend about 30 cents on payroll and maybe another 20 to 30 cents on materials or supplies. So this would give me about a 40 to 60% gross profit. So to make my $30,000 fixed cost, I had to probably generate about $60,000 of sales, which based upon what I knew was very achievable with the industry that I was trying to head towards. So I felt very comfortable entering the industry and doing that. So give myself about a year. I started out small, working with smaller residential type of projects, very simple things such as mowing and trimming, tree trimming, eventually doing some clearing and moving slowly towards commercial and larger projects that I could bid on. Eventually, I was presented with a project that I had been eyeing for about a year. I had been involved with this project before, so I was very aware of what the budget would be. I knew I would have to calculate my budget and make sure that I had enough profit set aside so that I could cover about 3 months of float. So I was very strategic with how I spent my money the year before this project came up. Regardless of how much I had saved aside, I really wanted to supplement the income that I had by going through a lending institution. I did mention earlier that financing is something that not only startups have to deal with, but companies throughout the entire life cycle have to deal with. So it was very important to me to put together a good business plan in pursuing this particular project. I presented that business plan to the lending institution, and part of that business plan, I demonstrated my past history in successfully performing that project, and I demonstrated how I felt I could pursue that project and be successful in it again. In putting together the business plan, though, you have to have contingency plans, and you have to be prepared for the worst case scenario to demonstrate that you're able to pivot in case that problems arise. So I was successful in doing that and attaining a good line of credit to help me pursue this project. And by pursuing that project, I helped enhance the growth and stability of the company. So another thing that most startup companies do have to face is the issue of manpower. Building your team. Whether you start out really strong, you need to have a good team in place to help with the projects. The problem is you can't spread yourself out too thin. If you hire too many people, you're not going to have sufficient capital to operate it for an extended period of time. So you have to have a fine balance of having quality people with enough resources to perform the work that needs to be done, but having enough capital to last long, to weather the storm. So in doing this, we ourselves use the traditional form of recruitment. We use Hire Guam or Indeed. We do print or social media. But I want to focus a little bit on something that most companies don't really, may not be aware of, but it's really the vision. And that's what I titled the slide as, is building the vision. And I think part of retaining employees, because expenses are obviously involved when you have high turnover rates, is sharing the vision with your staff. If you truly have a good vision that you can convey to your staff and they believe in it, they'll want to grow with the company. If you can show them where they fit in with that vision and they feel that they have career development, then they'll feel that they can stay there instead of having to chase the next dollar. Compensation is very important, of course. Being able to compensate your employees on a timely basis as well is very important. But if you can share a vision with them and they feel that they have career growth, they'll stay with you. One aspect of that vision and accomplishing some of the goals to get to that vision comes in the form of performance-based incentives and benefits. It's something that I like to do, but it's something that's not that easily achievable. In order to do performance-based incentives, you really have to have clear goals outlined. If you don't have clear goals outlined, they won't know where the end mark is. And if they don't know where the end mark is, it's going to be hard for them to identify a win. And no one's going to be happy. You're not going to be happy because your goals aren't met, and they're not going to be happy because they don't know what they were doing wrong. So if you can identify the goals, have a shared vision, and create a win-win environment for both you and your staff, that can really help reduce your turnover and make sure that you have quality employees. All of this kind of sums up to a referral program. One thing that I started to notice was that the staff that really believed in the vision of the company were starting to bring their friends over, people that they felt would add to the team because they felt ownership of the company. So I started to realize, well, maybe this is something that I want to formalize a little bit more. So I started offering referral programs and benefits and bonuses for those people that brought on good quality candidates. So the candidates that stayed past the probationary period ended up getting some bonuses for the person that referred them. And once again, the win-win relationship continued forward. So I want to spend a little bit of time about my diversification into the construction industry. So this wasn't something that I just jumped into. It's something that I've been thinking about doing for a long time. I just had a big shot in the arm that got me there, and I'll talk a little bit about that. So first of all, I felt the construction industry was a very good industry to get into. I felt there was a lot of opportunity with the military buildup, and I felt that a lot of successful companies in Guam had some experience or background in the construction industry. They can either renovate their own property, they can maintain their property, or if they want to develop new property, having an experience and background in construction was crucial to that. But the problem for me was I didn't really have experience doing it. I'd been planning on slowly building my company to get towards that direction by starting, as I mentioned, starting with small scale residential, moving my way up to commercial, and gaining greater scopes of work with more complexity. So I started out doing some clearing work, then moving to hydroseeding, trimming. Eventually I got to demolition work, which is sort of the opposite of construction, but some of the soft skills still apply. So you have your project management associated with demolition. You have to be able to manage your project, manage your schedule. You have to have an estimate put together. You have to have your quality control and your safety. All of these different elements of soft skills are still relevant in the demolition and also relevant in construction. So I started to see a synergy there. Well, an opportunity arose, as sometimes happens as an entrepreneur. An opportunity arose where one of my clients who we did some demolition work for had a need for some structural work on the construction side. And I normally wouldn't jump on that because I just still at this time didn't feel like I had the technical experience. But I happened to have a friend who was forming his own company and he had a new business. And he had lots of experience doing construction. He had over a decade worth of experience doing construction. So we saw this as an opportunity to work together. So before we jumped into it, we really took a step back and we analyzed the project, the potential work that could be done. It's kind of part of the business plan again. We're looking at our revenue and we're looking at our costs. We're trying to see what our operational expenses were going to be. And I took a look at my financials to see, could I float this project for a period of time in case the worst case scenario happened? What if I can't get paid for 3 to 4 months? Would I have enough capital to survive, not just for that project, but for all of my other projects? So we went through that analysis together. And I went through a general SWOT analysis. I looked through my strengths. I felt that we already had developed some project management ability. We had some great estimating ability, and I was using that to go through the project with my potential partner. And we have the quality control and safety individuals from my demolition experience. And at this point, we're starting to develop the financial stability. I had the line of credit from the previous project that I had bid on and won, and I'd already developed the cash flow from that to reshore up my line of credit. My weakness still was the technical experience. But this is where the partnership that I was talking about ended up forming a good win-win opportunity. So reflecting back on the opportunities of the military buildup and what I would do after this project was finished, successful or not successful, I still felt I would have the manpower and enough pipeline of work available to us to utilize that manpower in the future. I had a partner who had a lot of experience that I could supplement my weaknesses with and his strengths with. And the threats of manpower and financing, I felt we had enough answers to with the available manpower and some of the financing I had available from my previous projects. So we decided to go through with it. It turned out to be successful, and I'd love to say that it went out without a hitch. No project I've ever been a part of goes 100% smoothly. Of course, you have hurdles along the way, but with this particular project, it led us to get the experience we needed to move on. And maybe we started with 20 to 30 employees specific for that project, but we gained some experience and some credibility to go after other projects. And we ended up moving forward, and now we have about 120 employees in the construction field between the two of us in about less than a year. And it was definitely a risk. I spent a lot of time on the field to try to shore up my weakness. I really tried my best to learn as much as I could. I was out in the field every day. I did as much research as I could when I was back home. And it was a risk that I took. And you're always gonna have to take risks in business. So I want to close by looking over some general pieces of advice. First of all, I'd like to recommend that you be strategic with what you do. You have to be passionate about what you're pursuing. I spoke about it earlier, but you have to have a vision. And you have to convey that vision, the product you sell, the service you're providing, to not only your customers so they purchase it, but also to your employees, so they can feel like they're a part of the company and they feel that they've got growth potential as well. If they believe in what you're doing, they're going to want to join you and grow with you. Second of all, what you're choosing, you have to do your own SWOT analysis. Do you have the strengths? Do you have a core competency that allows you to have a chance of being successful with this project? Are you able to identify what your weakness is, which is really important? Everyone has a weakness. Are you able to identify what that weakness is and find a way to overcome that weakness? Are you aware of your opportunities and threats? You have to think about that and be strategic about the business that you're going to pursue. The second bit of advice I'd say is be prepared. You notice I keep using the rule of thumb that I wanted to have about 3 to 6 months float of my operational expense. Either way, you have to have a business plan. Either if you want to finance it yourself, if you want to go to a lending institution, or if you want to go through some sort of outside investment. So everyone's going to want to see what your likelihood of success is, and part of that comes with planning. So you have to be as prepared as possible and be ready for the worst case scenario. Lastly, you got to be persistent. You'll hear me talk a lot about the worst case scenarios and how things don't work out well. They don't. But if you're persistent, you'll find a way. Nothing good ever comes easy. I know it's a cliched statement, but when problems come your way, if you're persistent, you'll find a way through it. It might not be the first way you thought of, the second way, or even the third way of doing it. But if you're persistent, you'll find some outcome, and you can't give up. Being an entrepreneur is fun. You got a lot of flexibility. You've got a lot of reward. There's a lot of risk. But if you were truly passionate and you really enjoy what you're doing, you can have a lot of success. Thank you for your time. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Rob, for that very insightful video. A lot of information. We did pose the question to folks in the chat and ask them to submit some questions. And we have a couple here. So I'd like to read it out for the benefit of everybody that's also logged on in case they can't see the chat. And that is, many of the entrepreneurs have stated or often start alone per se, and they have little to no financial management skills or support. And so were you able to get any other support or mentorship at the beginning from experienced business people, family, friends, colleagues, and so forth? And how did that directly impact your confidence for the launch of your business?
Sure. So my dad's Bob Solis, so I always end up being underneath his footprint in a little way. But he definitely is a mentor to me, and I asked him for a lot of advice. And he didn't go to any formal school or training. Oh, I wonder why sorry. Okay, is that clear? He didn't have any formal training. He didn't go to school, but he always says he goes to the biggest university in the world, which is the University of Hard Knocks, right? So he always tells me that. So I did learn a lot with him, and really I learned a lot from on-the-job training there and my time at PwC in terms of the financial management side. So I was very comfortable with that. As I mentioned in the video, my weakness was really on more of the technical side. And that's where I really did have a lot of mentorship with a lot of other people in the industry, in the field. I think one bit of advice that I could really point out is don't be afraid to reach out to people or to ask for coffee. The worst anyone's going to say is no. And you know what I've learned? Most people are pretty willing to share their experiences. I mean, not everyone's going to say yes, but no one's really going to, the worst you'll get is a no answer, but people are, more than willing to talk in the business community, I think, and give some support.
Great. And earlier when I read your introduction, I noted that you have taken on leadership roles in some organizations that are outside of the scope of your own business, such as the Rotary Club of Guam, and also you're on the Father Duenas Memorial School Endowment Board. How do you incorporate your responsibilities there in these nonprofit organizations, and do they complement your business operation?
They do. I think it's very synergistic, and it obviously depends based upon each organization. But with a lot of the organizations, for example, Rotary Club of Tumon Bay, there are a lot of very experienced business individuals there, and some of them are maybe more towards the tail end of their career, whereas I'm towards in the beginning. So I can really pick their brain about some of the things that they've been in. A lot of them are in different types of industries than what I'm at, but I think if you keep an open mind, you can always get something from someone, even though they may not be in the construction field. They may have some experience in marketing, which I'm horrible at. So anyone that was in the presentation before me, I got to talk to all those guys after this. But there's always something you can get out of having conversations with these people, and joining these organizations makes it a lot easier to break the ice to have those type of conversations. So that's where it's mutually beneficial.
And earlier in your presentation, you talk about a win-win environment and building this vision for your employees to subscribe to help grow along with the company. What are some specific instances or that you could think of where you've seen this growth and buy-in from your employees?
Okay, well, it's kind of funny when Derek was talking about, I think he has a receptionist who's doing his TikTok, right? As someone that kind of has an elevation out of just that particular position. So I had an administrative assistant, the first one that started with me actually. I've really invested a lot in her training, and she ended up becoming a project coordinator now. And she's taken on that role, and I think she's on the board of NAWIC. So part of that was I felt that she had a lot of potential, so I invested in her training to get to that point. And then she was one of the ones that helped bring on more people onto the team. So there's a big circular economy where everyone kind of buys into it, and they bring on their friends, and they see this growth, and they get excited about the company.
Another question that we have is, why not just continue to expand LMS? Why the need to diversify your business?
Because LMS has its own brand, and that brand does not include construction. Construction is where I wanted to go, and construction actually has a lot of its own risks. So I felt that I needed to separate and diversify from LMS, because LMS has its own brand and products that it needs to provide, right? It has its landscaping side. It does more civil type of work. They do equipment leasing and rental. And I felt I needed to be separate from that. If it's all underneath one company, it's going to be very confusing as to who's doing what and what's being involved. So I felt I should take on the risk. It's my responsibility, and I wanted to really own this and try to grow it.
Okay, and we also have requests for your contact information, so we'll make sure that we can send that to the attendees. Would that be possible? Okay with you? You got an email from someone who's interested in asking some more questions.
No problem.
We're running up against time, so I want to be respectful of your time and everyone else's, but I do want to give you the last word if there's anything else that you want to say and any advice you want to impart again for our registrants.
Well, I just want to say thank you once again for having me. This is a very great opportunity for me to speak to everyone, but it's also a great learning experience for me to see all the other presenters out here. And I think in terms of starting up a business, there's a lot of risk, but it's really a lot of fun, and it's really what you make of it. So thank you.
Thank you again, Rob. We really appreciate your insight, and definitely a great success story that all of us can learn from. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to move on to other items in the agenda, but before we do that, we want to play this quick video for you. gotta say, this playlist has got me really motivated. So we're excited about our next panel, which is 100% made up of entrepreneurs. You heard throughout the last 2 days from advisors and a number of small business owners, but now let's talk about where to go from here with the COVID pandemic. Let's welcome back Mel Mendiola from Gita to moderate this panel.
Hafide and good morning, everyone. We're still waiting on one more panelist to jump on. This panel was supposed to start in about 8 minutes. And so we'll go ahead and take a short intermission while we get her connected. All right, thank you.
Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Ed Suarez, and I'm the host of the Adspace podcast on Spotify. And today, we're going to be talking about 3 tips on how to stand out on social media and help you grow your business. First and foremost, you got to tell your story. It's absolutely important that your audience knows exactly what you're about. Really bring out the heart of your brand, because the more genuine, the better. As consumers, we gravitate more towards products and services that we can relate to. Number 2, consistency is key. If you're a brand new business or you're trying to really expand your following, I would highly recommend that you post at least 1 to 2 times a day, just because by posting consistently, the message that you're trying to get across has a higher chance of making it through the noisy world of social media. So just keep that in mind as you are producing your content. And last but not least, engage with your audience. Respond to comments, respond to DMs, and really get into that community. Because again, as far as gaining and retaining customers, it's very important that you're accessible to them. Again, don't forget to tell your story, be consistent, and engage your audience. My name is Ed, and you have just been fed. I'll catch you guys on the radio waves. You done?
Hafide everyone, I'm Cami Aguirola, and today I'm going to be sharing some tips and some tricks on how to expand brand awareness on social media. Now, the first tip I have for everyone is what I like to call the golden rule of social media, and that is engage with others the way that you want people to engage with your profile. Now, this includes reposting people who tag your photos, commenting on other posts, or replying to comments on your posts. Now, all of these things may sound simple, but what it does is it really makes your audience understand and feel like they're being heard and that they're being included in the narrative that you're trying to create for your brand. This will also help bring in numbers, and those are perfect for when you want to show clients that people are not only looking at your content, but they're really engaging and participating in what you have to offer. Now, my next tip is be a show-off. I know this sounds harsh at first, but what I mean is sharing the product and what customers can potentially buy or gain from your brand is so important. Now, this includes showing what the product is, showing the people who work with you to propel your product forward. It also includes sharing what they can get out of that product or service. Now, the last tip I have for you is track your progress reports. The great thing about these social media apps is that they are giving you these analytics and insights into how people connect with your product and with your page on social media. It also gives businesses an opportunity to look at what's the best time for them to post content, who's looking at it, and where they come from, so that you can create dialogue that's really easily accessible for the people who actually watch what you're putting out. In the end, this saves time and money, things that are very valuable to you and your brand. Now, I hope you enjoyed my tips and tricks on how to expand your brand awareness using social media. Sejus maasi for having me.
Today, my name is Celia Anderson, owner of Glitters Girl Jewelry and part owner of Bonita Baby Boutique. And throughout this year, we've grown our social media platform by over 300%. So one tip I have is that the riches are in the niches. So find and establish your niche so that you can better position and promote your business. Another tip is to create a positive and friendly environment across all your social media platforms so that you can build relationships and connect with your customers. And the last tip is to keep your social media posts simple and sweet, because too many words are going to cloud your message or lose your customers' interest.
Today, my name is Mindy Blas. I'm the owner and designer of Kainani Swimwear, and here's a few tips on how we use social media to expand our business. First tip, create a message that resonates with your target audience, whether it be through your photos, your captions, your video clips. Portray that message to the best of your ability, but still make it relatable. Second tip, engage. Engage with your customers genuinely and authentically and create a sense of community. Your engagement boosts the chances of your business or your products or your brand potentially reaching new customers. Third tip, collaborate. Collaborate with like-minded individuals or creators or even businesses that share the same values as you. Collaborating with them puts your business in front of a new audience, which means that your business can grow. In addition to that, the plus side is you not only make a good connection, but you're also supporting another small business. Thanks for your time. Again, my name is Mindy Blas with Kainani Swimwear. I hope you find these tips useful. Good luck with your endeavors.
Today, my name.
Okay, I think our panel is ready to go. So we're very excited again, as Norm had mentioned. This panel is made up of 100% entrepreneurs. You've heard over the last few days from advisors and a number of small business owners, but let's talk about where to go from here. So joining us, we're gonna keep, I'm gonna keep their bios short because I really want to give them time. We really wanna give them time to introduce themselves. So joining us, we have Marie Guerrero, CEO of B&G Pacific 3 Squares, Raj Kumar Parangusam, owner and president at the Saira LLC, The Laundry Solutions, and Jenny Kaufman, owner of Fuuna Cultures. Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today. All right, Jenny is in her kitchen. Uh-oh, and it's lunchtime. There's gonna be some noise. Okay, so why don't we go ahead and hear, let's hear your stories, guys. Let's go ahead and start with Marie. What were you doing when you decided it was time to take the leap?
Hi, half a day, everybody. What was I doing? Well, I was actually down in Tumon, started off at Planet Hollywood back in the heydays in 1997 as a server. So kind of grew up through there. As I worked my way through, Sam Choi's was the next movement for me. So I went to Sam Choi's, and I met a bunch of great people coming through from Planet and making my way through Sam Choi's. So anyway, when did I take the leap? Well, for me, it was validation that I'd spent the past 20 years in Tumon as a general manager and loving the industry and loving what I did. And then it was just the next step for us was to open B&G Pacific. So surrounded myself with a great partner, Mark Borja, as you guys all know. He's the B in my B&G. So we decided that we were just going to try to tackle on the workforce village, and that's how we started B&G. So a lot of people don't realize that, but our actual model was to become a institutional food provider, B&G Pacific, and that's really how we started. That was it. And I know through this conference we're going to get a little bit into more of meat of how we became what we are today. But for the most part, I am a local girl doing what I love to do, have always loved food and beverage, love the industry, and by the grace of God, had a great journey. And that journey took me through Tumon. It introduced me to great people, great restaurants, great leaders in the community, and we became B&G. So that's really me in a nutshell. I'm sure as we kind of go through, we'll share how we became 3 Squares, Everything Guam, the marketplace deli, you know, all the other things that B&G is proudly known for today. So I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Marie. How about you, Jenny? Can you tell us your entrepreneur story and how you decided to take the leap? Unmute yourself, Jenny. Down at the bottom left.
Sorry about that. I heard every word you said, Melanie. Good day. My story. I was working as a biologist for the National Park Service. Fast forward, left after 8 years and decided to follow my passion. And my passion is in food, specifically functional foods, right? And so that gave me an opportunity to, through a friend who told me about the Guma opportunity, right? And I go with the Guma opportunity. And so she broke it down, and it was basically an opportunity for me to get my idea in my head onto paper. And it provided me the roadmap to have the fortitude to open a small artisan food production space, totally plant-based. And our mission is to provide access for the people of Guam to healthier food options. And we could do that through fermentation, as well as whole food plant-based preparation and execution. So that's what prompted me from going to a 9-to-5 job to 14, 24-hour job, you know, so that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Thank you so much, Jenny. Now, Raj, we'd look forward to hearing what you have to say and how you decided to take the leap.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity, Mel and the team. So yes, the leap is a big story for me here. You know, obviously, Guam is now a home for me and my family. A little bit of background myself. After working in Malaysia, Hong Kong, and Macau, and several other assignments internationally, I was transferred to Guam through an international chain, Hotel Hyatt, in 2002, just right before the Pong Sawa. So that was a great welcome. And then I meant to stay for 2 years, and all of a sudden the year came 2009, and then I said, okay, pack your bags and you have to leave. So I have to leave where? Another country again. And then by then my daughter was born here, and my son was already born in Macau. Then he was 2 years old when we came, and the family started to grow here. And then we said, okay, listen, this is what the life is. We're going to go around different country to country, or is it the time to take the leap, right? So the leap is obviously it's going to be a business. I think that is a blend. I think a business in my family as well. My mom was a tailor actually. She was in this like a sole proprietor, right? That's how she took care of our families. So I think the business is always there. Then I had this 25 years of experience in the hospitality, working in different hotels and countries. Then I said, okay, let's do something in Guam. And what else? I have to do something that I know, right? So I knew exactly what the hospitality industry needed, what the challenges were to bring the products that were not easily available, especially custom-made items, right? So that's how my leap actually, I took that leap. And from a humble beginning of selling a paper cup as first of many products that I sold. And now our company is able to design a product or design a space. And based on that, we procure, we supply, and even offer turnkey projects. So that journey started in 2010. The company name was the Product Solutions. And along the way, a couple other businesses were introduced. One is the opening of Industrial Laundry in 2016. And in 2017, another company joined, which is the Freight Forwarding Company. Join means accepted. As long as anyone can understand the equation, the demand and supply, and possess the knowledge and experience in the specific industry that you are in, I think you can take the leap anytime. So yeah, that's my story.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Raj. So now for Marie and Raj, you've both been in business for a number of years already. Maybe we'll start with Marie. Can you tell us about some of the early challenges and struggles you faced when opening or running your business in the early days?
Struggles in F&B, it feels like some days everything's a struggle. But when we're talking about the business in itself, when we started B&G to begin with, it was getting our name out there and having people understand who we were. And like I said, when we started, our first initial leap was to become an institutional food provider. Well, obviously that didn't happen because the buildup didn't happen. So we were stuck with a huge struggle of what are we going to be? So we went to Plan B, and really becoming a caterer was just the next natural step. And that was kind of by forcing our hand. So we really had to figure out who our customer was. We had a bunch of equipment that could feed 5,000-6,000 people at one time. So where were we going to go and what are we going to do? We didn't have a brick and mortar restaurant. We just had a central kitchen. So for us, the struggle was, okay, what are we going to do now? So everything we planned didn't happen. We naturally became a caterer, and in catering, it was just making sure our name was out there and we had a strong name. So our struggle really in the beginning was, how do we make our footprint? How do we get into the homes and to the companies and to the businesses? And how do we keep on going? And then, from there, it was just, now that we have the people, let's maintain the business. So early on, it was, how do we maintain them? How do we keep our service the way that it's going to be sustainable for us as caterers? Because you can cater one or you can cater 100. So it was a very unstable business for us. So without an actual restaurant to feed people, we really had to figure out, okay, what are we going to do? So every time we came up with a different scenario, we kind of just went to the next step and went to the next step. So fast forward, all of our struggles built up to a restaurant. It's just, we had to find what was the next step, what was the next progression, what was the next progression for us. So I guess really it's struggling and learning how to fail and then falling forward, because falling forward for us meant into another revenue center and then another revenue center. And before you know it, B&G became an umbrella of several different revenue centers. So I guess for us, it's just making sure we can maintain what we had, find the business model, maintain it, and then just kind of keep building and growing on that. So very tough in the beginning, very humble. Mark and I have stories where it was just he and I trying to figure out how we're going to get to the next gig or the next catering, or who's driving the truck or who's cooking the food. And there was maybe about 5 of us at the time that were heading the helm, and we're at about 65 now. So definitely some growth with all the struggles we had coming through. So for us, there's several struggles. I think for the most part, it's just learning how to fall forward in the business. And falling forward meant opening up a new line and opening up a new partnership with somebody else.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Marie. Raj, what about you? Any early day struggles you'd like to share with us?
Okay. No, there's a lot of struggles, but now, okay, it's all over. But opening a business, right? I think it's very easy in my opinion. But sustaining it and being successful and staying at the top is what most challenging part is, because anyone can open a business, right? So for that, you need to have perseverance, right? You have to make sacrifices, ready to take a risk, which may have a direct impact on your personal lifestyle, and of course the family is involved in this, right? So opening a business, it's very, very easy, right? Now, in my case, I did not adapt a business. Adapt a business means it's already established, there's a goodwill to it, and it's easy, right? You can always fine tune it. But opening a business from the scratch, like Marie said, it's you don't know what you're starting up, right? You have to go along the way and mold it along the way as well. So in my scenario, I started with nothing, and I faced several challenges along the way. especially when I decided to open the industrial laundry. So I thought the product solution, the hotel supply company, was more challenging, and then I overcome this, and industry speaks to you, right? Okay, Raj, I think we needed an industrial laundry in Guam because there's only a couple of them, right? I said, yeah, that's far away from me, right? I can't even imagine that. But I take that risk, industrial laundry, especially, which requires a huge investment without any partners. That is not a joke. And the bank and the God was the partners for me. So that was a very challenging beginning, right? And I needed a large warehouse for this. The question is, what are you going to sign into, right? What kind of agreement that you're going to sign into when you want to invest in such a large laundry project here? And how many years would you sign for? These were the challenges. It was not available in the book that you can't buy online and say, oh, let me sign a contract for 5 years or 3 years. You don't know that. So the challenge is constantly, it's there, and then developing a industry-specific engineering team to maintain those industrial machinery that is not available easily locally. And you have to prepare them ahead of time. When the machineries are here, you have to take care of them. So you got to plan that as well while you're planning the warehouse. And then your ready infrastructure is available in any warehouse in Guam for a laundry? I don't think so. So you got to create that infrastructure available in the warehouse, which is not available. So obviously that's another challenge, which I have to take the risk, take a large warehouse, and then start to put all the infrastructure while the machine order has been placed, which takes 6 months to produce the machines, right? Or manufacture the machines. So while that is happening, you got to have the infrastructure happening as well, while the engineering team is ready, and the bank alone is not done yet. So, the challenge is amazing there. So, and then 6 months of production, the machine arrives here, and then by then the engineers should be already arriving to Guam as well, locally and off island as well. Then while you're doing that, you already must have secured the contracts too with the hotels, because the bank says, okay, I'll give you the loan, Raj, no problem. But as soon as you give in, you got to pay the loan start first month, right? So they can't wait. So you got to get the contracts in place. Now, how are you going to sell the contracts to the hotel? By the floor plan? No, you got to explain to them the laundry will come in 6 months down the lane or 1 year down the lane. Can you sign the contract now? Which is, for that, I really must be very thankful for the hoteliers who, in the play, and they trusted me over the time, and they given me that kind of support as well. So that was the challenge that I've overcome. And again, employees, how many you hire, you don't know. It's just like the restaurant, right? You just don't know every day how many people are coming into the restaurant, 100 people or 200 people or 20 people. What kind of food you prepare, what mise en place you do, right? You don't know that. It's the same thing here. And how many employees you hire. How are you going to manage the 10 hotels coming into for the washing and folding and ironing them? So, business, this kind of businesses, of course, a lot of challenges. And when you acquire a fleet, how are you going to deliver this to the hotels? How many fleets you need? Can you rent them readily, or can you buy them there? How are you going to put your inventory ready, right? So yes, the challenges was nonstop. I think, we learned a lot along the way. In order to overcome these challenges, I think you need to be vigilant, in my opinion, in all phases, right? Especially when you're opening a business. You got to put 100% effort, not just 99.99%, 100%, and understand, research, constant learning, or seek advice, especially where the liabilities and risk involved. In my opinion, there are, 3 most important things. I think employees, customers, and your business or assets, right? When you manage somebody's business, it's easy that you can say, okay, manage the owners. But then when it becomes you, the owner, and you're the asset, and your assets are your risk. So these are the 3 important things that we need to remember this. The challenge is always there. I think regardless of the size of the business, a small business or a large business or mid-scale, I think challenges are there. But as long as we put in 100% effort, and we understand, we continue to study and enhance our knowledge on this, I think we do great, right?
Right. So you are both qualified, all three of you, but you're very qualified people who came from relatively stable jobs. Were you ever, Marie, was there a year that you said, this is the year I'm going to stick with it, or I'm going to go get a job? Or did you think that at any point in time in the journey, like maybe I should go back and get a job?
You know, honestly, no. I think that for me, it was just every day became a challenge. So you never really look back, you know? So it was always, it just fed my desire and my passion to just keep being better and go, go, go. You know what? But I will take that back. Just recently with this whole COVID thing, I was like, oh my God, maybe I should have a job so somebody else can take the hands and the reins, because it's just overwhelming. But yeah, so yeah, I guess I did say that maybe a couple weeks ago. But for the most part, I love being where I am now, honestly.
What about you, Raj? Did you ever want to go back to the Hyatt or to hospitality?
Everyone asked me
Get
that.
back
I said,
on that
no,
airplane?
100% no. Actually, you know what? As much as the risk is involved, and I'm not saying that I work less. I work 18 hours over there as well, and I'm pretty much doing not 18 hours. Things are getting better now. As long as you have a good team, you don't need to do 18 hours. But and no, I don't think I will go back. I think business is fun, and as much as the risk is involved, fun is involved as well. And in Guam, it's beauty of Guam is opening a business here. It's very unique. Guam has a uniqueness, right? Business circle is small. People are friendly here. You pretty much get to know most of the people if you stay long enough in Guam, and you will face most of the business people one or the other way, right? And it's very important to present your very best to local community, and in return, you will get all the help along the way, which I don't think you will get easily available in other countries, because I do have experience in other countries as well. You're just one of the millions here. You get noticed easily, right? And help as well. Because my family had sacrificed in this, this excitement of business and all, right? So you're not alone, right? So your business is actually, your family is together as well. And it takes away all the time that you have to put together with the family, right? And then you always say that I'll be home shortly, and that shortly has become 2 or 3 hours, right? So, but I think the support of businesses and family, I think I never felt like I should go back or insecure, Guam was really helpful to me.
Great. That's wonderful to hear. Now for Jenny, you launched your business. Jenny, you launched Funa Cultures right around the time of at the outset of the pandemic. How has that been challenging for you? How has that been for you?
Well, there's nothing to compare because the baseline wasn't there at the moment. So we just, as any new business, you just kind of go with the flow, right? And we were open for just February 20, right? And then March 14th, the first lockdown happened. So we were still really young, right? And so we said, okay, this is a pandemic. We'll go with what's going to happen with regulations and what have you. But we were able to stay open. And we went from, our business model has always been grab and go, right? But then once we opened the doors, of course, our customers dictated that they wanted to dine in. And mind you, we're permitted only for capacity in the building, 15. So we pulled the chairs and tables that we had, and it happened the day of opening, right? And so we became a sit-down establishment for that duration till COVID happened. And then we converted back to our grab and go model, the original model, which is working really well for us, because no matter what, people still have to eat, right? And what they have to eat are clean foods that help boost your immune system on a daily basis for the time of COVID, right? That's always been sort of like my passion in the microbiology realm, and that part of that is fermentation. So we adapted, and we have customers that pay in advance for meals. And it's really exciting because it's a niche market that seems to be successful in the time of COVID as far as grab and go items.
Yeah, great. That's wonderful
And
to
so,
hear. That's
so
awesome.
as far as struggles
Thanks, Jenny.
go during time, right? You're welcome. As far as struggles along the way, again, we're still finding the flow. We're definitely not the conventional model. We're really creative over here. So we draw on each team member's strength, right? To create a meal for the day, whole food, plant-based, as organic as we can get, you know, as local as we can get, and provide that one special for our customers, and as well as a grab and go fridge full of elixirs, as well as plant-based desserts with no refined sugar and gluten-free, raw components, right? And so it's really going back to the whole food plant-based, where we're actually making almost everything from scratch, right? And so it's so powerful because we can turn a potato into cheese, right? And so we laugh about that. So yeah, it's definitely a plant-based gangster realm over here, and we're going with the flow, and we're listening to our customers, but we're also staying on top of the market. When I did this market, 5 years ago, in terms of the research, it's always been plant-based is the future, and the future is now, right? And so we all know that. And the functional food market is a bazillion-dollar business, right? That is fast growing as well in the food industry. And kombucha is one of the most fastest growing item in that functional food market, that we are doing our own fermentation here as well in the kombucha stage, which promotes a healthy gut microbiome, which is so important to our immune system because it's 70% of our immune system is in our gut. And so it's not like the all solution, but it's just part of the preventive care approach that our island needs. And if it resonates with people, then it might be good for them. At least that's what we say.
Thank you, Jenny. You obviously have a passion for what you do, and I didn't understand any of those things. I'm just joking. I love it. My gut is happy because of you. So now let's go back to Raj here. Now, Raj, you were serving the hospitality industry, so COVID must have thrown quite a curveball at your business. Can you tell us about how you've repositioned yourself, or anything along those lines of how you're managing through the pandemic?
Right. And I think this is where the diversification comes in play, right? And lucky enough, I think, as I said, the first business was the product solution, and then quickly moved into the laundry solution, and then the freight forwarding company. So it all works hand in hand, and that diversification kind of helping us now. I think, which is, at one point I used to think, wow, that's a lot of actions, right? But it makes sense now for me, actually. And it's one or the other, it always helping us, the business. And I must say proudly that I did not maybe furloughed people at all here, right? So, and during this pandemic, as much as it's difficult, yes, our company heavily rely on this tourism industry, and that's bread and butter for us. But having this little diversification in my business, I think helped. And then also willing to change as we go. So, well, I think it's the expression of that we say, right? If we had known this already, that's inexistent in a pre-COVID business or it's post-COVID, right? So we all must understand that expect the unexpected. This is the old saying that I'm repeating this. In a business, it's always like that. But yes, this time is longer than any other crisis that we have seen in our lifetime, in our ages. But it has taken heavy toll on our business, actually. I must say that now. Wow. But somehow, like I said, it was helping in a different divisions, and we were able to survive, and we were able to continue stay in the game and empower ourselves along the way. So what we actually do is a little bit of things that we don't do right normally. We actually had to I had a great opportunity actually to acquire a brand called Steramist. This is the US brand. It's FDA, EPA registered disinfection units. It was developed by a defense agency. And we are not in the disinfection business. So if you ask me, what did I do to overcome this pandemic and to stay in the business, and this is one of the things that we did, because that was never intent for me in my business to bring the disinfection. But when I brought these machines, I was also lucky to put them in action right away for some of the projects. So it was a little bit of luck involved as well. And right before the pandemic started, I invested in these machines. And these are not any machine that we think of. These are, quite heavy, very heavy equipments, which does the decontamination as well. So we did not just, diversification is important, but you just can't just do anything and then everything just to get over with it, right? So you got to be carefully involved in this, carefully invest in this, bring the products that are going to benefit Guam and your business. So the Ceramis was one of the great products. I think I'm very proud of to say that brought to Guam as well. So we did a lot of disinfection for many large and small organizations. This is actually, it's non-corrosive. There is no residue. There's no wipe needed. It was a 99.999% kill. Why I have to say all this thing is, if you had an opportunity to diverse a little bit, don't just fall into any, temporary solutions, right? Think something that you can evolve with it for next 2-3 years, because that is an investment that you want to make. So these machines, I think I'm, a little bit of deviation in my business, but I must say it is helping us, it's helping us to keep our team employed. So that's something that we did actually. As one of the things that people started to bring masks, right? The masks, the sanitizers. We were one of the first companies to bring them, and very quickly the company adapts in business in Guam. So everyone brought masks. It got so saturated in the market, but why? Because it's a common product. So my advice is, when you want to stay in the pandemic, during the pandemic, think something that not just easily available. Bring products that are great to Guam as well and your business.
Absolutely. A niche product. Now, as far as your workforce was concerned, were you able to retool all of them to work in the disinfection space? So, or did you have to lay off or do anything like that?
No, Mel, no, I did not actually. I'm very happy to say that. That's why during the whole pandemic, right, and because our industrial laundry as well, we took care of the ship which came in, Theodore, the US S Theodore ship came in, right, the 1,000 positive COVID. So we were, vetted just only one laundry in the whole Guam to handle this, the whole ship. And then when they were put in the hotels, in the 10 hotels, our company was the only one company was chosen to handle this. And again, because the type of machinery that I brought into Guam, this is back in 2016. And again, it helps when the time to say and talk about your business, right? And these machines were actually, very highly, the machine can do a lot of things when it comes to this disinfection, taking care of this COVID, killing the SARS-CoV-2. So yeah, we never actually, touch wood until now. We are okay, we did not send any people home. Actually, they are the ones saying, I want to stay back a little bit because of the COVID, right? But no, we did not do that.
That's great. How about you, Marie? What kinds of things did 3 Squares or B&G do with regard to adapting to the COVID environment?
Gosh, that the whole idea of the pandemic was very scary. So just to kind of take it through a timeline, when we first heard everything was going to be shutting down and that we were deemed essential, I gathered all the managers and I said, okay, guys, what are we going to do? Let's make a family decision. Do we want to stay? Do we want to go? Are we going to shut down? What are we going to do? And we thought about our customers. We thought about who are we serving? Who needs us? So the team all raised their hand. We're in it. So from there, we had to retool, and our driving force really wasn't the business at the time by means of the restaurant 3 Squares, because, diversity, right? So we also feed Anderson, Navy, we feed ABC stores, we feed 76, we feed Foodies. We have several corporate businesses that we feed. So we had to figure out, okay, we got to stay in business. So we decided to do that. how did we change? We all sat down. We have a very strong marketing person, Tiffany, Mark, myself. We sat down and we said, who needs us right now? What's happening? So the family platter, that famous family platter. So we thought we're comfort food. And during this pandemic, you know, there was so much uncertainty. But one thing we knew is that it would bring families together. So if these families were together, they weren't at their job, or they needed to feed more people at one time, you know, we just said, let's go home. Let's be home. Let's be home with these people. So we turned our comfort food a la carte menu into something that was affordable. And we said, okay, we've got a reefer full of green leaf lettuce because my prepared foods suffered. And, you know, what can we do? What can we do? How can we shift? How can we make some nutritious meals? So the family platter came about. And so that was a huge hit for us in the beginning. We created 3 squares for 4 to 6 people. And it was nice to see that when we launched those family platters, that the rest of the community kind of rose up. And before you know it, it was a trend of family platters, which was great.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's one good thing about being good about honesty and being humble about what your genuine feelings are. If you're doing things for the good and people look around, and I think everybody rallied around that kind of market, and affordable food for people at home, you know, is really what we brought to the table. And I think that really hit home with a lot of people. It did well. And the restaurant in itself, we had to completely change our whole entire demeanor, how we handled things. So whether it was safety of the food, safety of the customer, safety of my staff. So there was a lot of changes that had to happen. Another innovative thing that came across was our marketplace. So if you come into 3 Squares right now, there's a display case, there's grab and go, there's additions to anything that you need. We have hot plates, we have cold items, confections, we have all kinds of stuff when you walk into this store. So we really try to maximize our real estate. We try to be able to provide for the people who came through, giving them different options. So I think all in all, I'm glad to say that, you know, we started something that a lot of people could jump on. And because of that movement, I think a lot of the businesses that surrounded food and beverage kind of rose up. And, you know, I'm happy to say that that positive step that we took kept us open and kept my guys still at work.
That's great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. So Jenny, your workforce and your operation has actually expanded during the pandemic. How is this growth go? I mean, what prompted this growth?
Well, the demand is there, you know, and there's one thing that we entrepreneurs can tell is the pattern, right? And so the clientele base kept increasing. And what prompted us was that we have a very small space and we needed the expansion to produce more in quantity as well as a variety, because a variety of different foods is also part of being healthy, right? And so an opportunity arose where the space above us opened up and my business partner took it as an opportunity to expand. And that's where we're going to place the production specifically and just keep this space here as the savory dish production. And
so you're going to be doing, so you're going to be expanding to do like kombuchas and.
Yeah, we're going to ferment kombucha, and it's an effervescent elixir, right? That has good probiotics in it. And as well as other types of elixirs that vary from using hibiscus tea, turmeric combination, ginger, and provide some sort of benefit to our people, and is very palatable, as well as cold press juicing as well, and producing sweets and treats without any refined sugar or gluten, right? So we're instead of, and definitely dairy free. And so we have to be creative in that realm and always provide a variety for our clients so that they can not only gain the benefits from the nutrition, you know, the nutrients from the food that we provide, but also so they don't get bored, right? So we care about our customers and family in that way. And we call them Funa family and friends, right? And so the space that we're going to be moving into in February will provide that ample space to upscale production and also provide for the demand, because we can't provide for the demand at the moment because we can only produce so much. And so that's what prompted us to expand.
Awesome. That's wonderful. I was going to say your food is equally delicious, but you know what else is equally delicious is 3 Squares fried chicken and smoked pork.
I know,
both
because she
are
loves
famous.
fried chicken. That's her weakness. So she knows.
Okay. Now we're getting sidetracked. You can tell we're getting close to lunch. Now, so Marie, how are you feeling about the future of business on our island, of doing business on our island, in the food and beverage space, or just in the small business space in general?
You know what? I'm excited about the business. I'm excited about businesses moving forward. I think that it's given a lot of businesses a chance to look within their own areas and how they can grow and how are they going to survive. And you see that because you see a lot of F&Bs now, they're partnering. You're seeing a lot more people partnering with local gas stations. You see a lot of people trying to get into everywhere where they can sell something. That's where you see it going. But all in all, it just elevates our local entrepreneurs. Our businesses are trying to survive, and because they're going outside of what they know, it just does nothing good for Guam. So I think that people like myself, and I use myself as an example, I'm striving to look at all areas of my business and how can I be better? How can I continue to employ my staff? How do I partner with all these great companies that have been good partners with us in the last couple of years? How do I return that back so that Guam overall can overcome this? So I think it's going to be a great, COVID for me was awakening. It kind of stopped me in my tracks, and it just kind of made me realize what's important. What are we here for? What are we doing? And where do we want to be? So with COVID, now I look at some of the things that I've thought of in the past, and I'm striving to do those things now. And I'm excited about the different things that we're going to be doing, and I'm excited about first quarter. We've got some nice things down the pike that we've been in the stewing pot for about a year or two, and now's the best time to move on it. So I'm excited for Guam. I think we've got a lot of strong leaders that are trying to point us in the right direction. Conferences such as these, you've got the chambers working together to figure out how do we get out of this situation. You've got, GVB partnering with GHRA and everybody just trying to make Guam a safer place. And with all of this collaboration, I think businesses like myself can follow that kind of mentorship and follow under that idea. And then we grow, and then we keep going, and we don't tap out. A lot of people say is, Marie, why do you do it? Why do you do it? And it's like, I think about being a stakeholder in Guam, and I'm proud of where I'm from, and I'm proud of where I'm at. And, there's a lot of good things happening. And I think COVID for a lot of us here kind of made us stop and breathe for a little bit. So I think we got good stuff coming down the road, and there's definitely hope. You can't ever give up hope.
That's excellent. Excellent. How about you, Raj? How are you feeling about the future of business on our island?
Yeah, it is very saddening to hear there are many businesses are closing down for good, or some are put a hold on it, lockouts to the door, and it's really sad to see that kind of, because small business, it is the backbone for the economy, right? And when you start to lose them, it's just kind of scary. But I think as much as we say scary, and I think by now, I think we can, this pandemic made us feel like we are at the very bottom of it, right? Because it is not a 1 month, I remember when the typhoon Pongsonwa came, my house where we didn't have any 60 days, there's no power and water. My son was 2-year-old, and I thought that was the worst. And this is the worst of it, right? But we are resilient, right? We will overcome this. And I think this pandemic really made us feel like we hit the rock bottom, right? Now, I know we all remember the saying, right? If we hit the rock bottom, the only way to get out is going up, right? So there's no other way. There's no other way. You can't, if you have a diamond cutter, you can go deep down, but then do you have a diamond cutter? So, so the only way is going up, okay? I know it's easy to say than being in that position where some of the businesses are suffering. But I think my, feeling is the future is very near. I think a lot of good news is coming out. Let's try to stay afloat. Let's not waste any time. Let's keep thinking what is next, what our customers may need in upcoming days, post-COVID days, post-COVID months. Start thinking now, not for tomorrow, but the day after and a month or a year, because the total culture of consumers and business, everything changed. This is not that usually a business does what I know everything. No, it's not that anymore. So I think post-COVID, they're going to demand different things. So we as a business owners or the new business owners, I think don't think for today. I think think for what is needed, what is the demand will be in the future. I think just be positive and be proactive. Worrying, I think it's not going to help us. But I know there are some businesses very close friend of mine and people like that, they're really lost. I mean, they let go of employees. And for me, right now, the success is keeping the employees. I think that I call myself or our company is very successful in that, at keeping the employees in place. If we overcome that, I think they're going to be with you all the time, and the future is good. I think the only way that we have to think that way. There's no other way. There's no other way that we have to think it's going to be nervous or this is very scary. No, we will overcome this. Okay, I think that's my 2 cents.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having the courage, to really speak honestly about your struggles, your triumphs, and your hopes for the future. I wanted to ask, we're basically, this is the last panel before we have the governor giving her closing remarks. And so with you three bona fide entrepreneurs, I mean, you guys are the real deal as far as I can tell. Okay. And I just checked the chat box to see if there's any questions. And I got, yeah, I'm hungry. Love that fried chicken. Thank you, Marie, for positive outlook and encouragement and continued collaboration among our leaders. Somebody asked about employees, which you touched on earlier, and we're grateful for that. So now, in closing, any advice that you'd like to offer new business owners or entrepreneurs looking to take the leap as we near the end of our virtual conference on Taking the Leap? Marie, why don't we go ahead and kick off with you again?
Okay, some advice from entrepreneurs. Honestly, I just really feel be honest with your customers, be honest with yourself, walk into things with integrity. You need to be grateful for the people who are with you. Make sure that you take care of everybody that's with you during your journey, because without them, more than likely you won't get as far as you are. So I'm very grateful for my team, my chef, my partners, my staff, and then keep a balance in life. You got to hold on to life, because if you find something you're passionate and you love to do, you're on the right path. But you can't get there by yourself. So don't forget about your family. Try to get as much balance as you can. Make time for yourself. And more importantly, just be honest and listen to your gut. Your gut will probably tell you if something feels right, you should know it. And if it doesn't feel right, then chances are it's not right. So I put a lot of my decisions are faith-based and how I feel about the person. And most of my business deals aren't business. It's a relationship. And it's something that I look for long-term. So they're not one-offs. They're something that I feel like they need to be based on integrity and based on a relationship. So whoever you're doing business with, whatever it is you're going to do, make sure you enjoy it, you love it, and you're passionate about it. Otherwise, it's going to be very hard. And just be honest. Be good to your people, and they'll be good for you.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that answer. How about you, Raj? Any advice for new business owners or for budding entrepreneurs who are getting ready to take the leap?
Not sure I can advise. I'm ready to advise because we constantly learn along the way as a business owners. There is no right or wrong, but I'll share some of the things that we need to look out for. I think for business owners who had already started the journey right before the pandemic, right, or just started during this pandemic, please remember that we cannot control virus. We cannot control the government decisions. We cannot control the economic impact. But what you can control is your decisions. I think those were the direct impact. It may have a possible irreversibility, right? Especially there is a deficit of information available on how to react during pandemic, because there is no such thing in our times versus the typhoons and earthquake. We know what to do exactly, right? And we have a drills, fire drills, prepare yourself. But this is something new for us. So if you think that you made a wrong decisions, I think you only had banked more experiences. So think it like this. Don't think it's a wrong or bad decision that you made. You only banked more experiences in your life, right? As a business owner. And I strongly feel that new business owners are going to be very stronger just because they are starting at the very bottom already, which means they will find ways and means which experienced business owners may not have faced in their times. Because we means existing business owners, they already seen it, right? But the new business owners or just started right before the pandemic, those are the people who's going to see different world, and they're very stronger. They're going to be very stronger, okay? And not all bad news, right? That is a good news to this side, which is many of the top successful business has to start almost from the bottom again, right? When I say that, because COVID has brought everyone down to the same level, right? So due to this pandemic, so whether you're a veteran in that specific industry or a newcomer, everyone has to start at the same level when it comes to acquire new customers and presenting new products. So that is a good news for new business people, right? Because now when I'm going to be like him or her or that company, no, it's not that anymore. We all going to start again fresh. So the new businesses has an upper hand already because, like I said, starting the same level. And this opportunity, Mel, I think it's going to be very rare, okay? As we often face established companies suppresses the newcomer, right? Because it's in terms of pricing, in terms of their long presence in the market, they already suppress you. But in this situation, it's not, because they're already struggling as well. So we have the new business owners have a better hand, and I would suggest to come up with the innovative, great ideas, excel when and wherever we can. Resilience means anticipate changes. When change happens, we cannot be fragile, right? So learn the skills that established businesses don't have. Invest your time on a digital world that brick and mortar models are suffering because nobody's visiting, right? But if you have one, try to tell your customers what's your new opening hours are, how you are catering the clients, what you have done for this COVID. Be visible for them, right? Brick and mortar is going to be very challenging because everyone wants to do e-commerce and online business, but increase the presence for the online businesses, right? Online presence. Any other new products that we can bring in? Social media, again, that's been very strong with us, right? So try to learn those things during this time, And finally, diversify in your products, okay? Keep thinking diversification. I think this is something that we all need to remember this. So yeah, I think we got to be positive. That's all I can say, right? And what else?
Great, thank you so much. How about you, Jenny? You're our newest business owner. You took the leap just under a year ago. Yeah. But you've certainly had your share of drama and all of that just with this pandemic. Any advice you'd give to someone getting ready to take the leap?
Wow, like Marie and Raj, I agree with them in terms of definitely there's this innate driving passion that you have that's like really unexplainable, other than it resonates with you. Do your homework, look at the market, you know, is it a niche market? Where is it going to go in 5 years from now? Get well informed with those numbers as well, because then, you know, it's very important to get that overall picture. And then surround yourself with people that are in the know in the industry, because I came from a biology background. I love to eat and I love to cook, but I had no business in running a kitchen, right? So I knew I already had to empower myself with people that can be my teachers. So I have awesome team members at all different levels that gave me the tools that I need to be where I'm at right now. And I feel very confident. There's a lot to learn, right? Still, but that comes with experience. So surround yourself with amazing people that can support you in running your business, because that's what it's going to take. And we all agree that it's going to, you need the support from your team members to make it happen. It takes a dream, you know, to make the dream happen, it takes a team. And so I feel very fortunate about that. And other than that, you know, remember this quote: when you're an entrepreneur and you're owning a business and you own a business, this money doesn't come easy, but the struggle is real. So it better be passion to get you through those obstacles and those days when money isn't coming in, right? And you're pulling a 14-hour shift. So that's like, for me, a baseline. I wake up every day that I wake up, I come to work with that passion and that desire to build this access to healthier food options for the people of the Mariana Islands, because our island is very sick. And so, that's a pattern that I was seeing. And I said, okay, let's just go ahead and connect them with comfort, whole food, plant-based. So yes, empower yourself with the numbers, look at the market, and surround yourself with people that can support you, and be confident and be well informed in that area, because you're going to be the specialist that people are going to come to with regards to your choice of business. And that's pretty much it.
All right.
Fortitude, a lot of fortitude for sure.
Fortitude, I love that word. All right, so now from the chat box, not a whole lot of questions, just a whole lot of love. Raj, you're right. The pandemic created an equal playing field. Amazing community leaders. You're all a true testament to hard work, integrity, and the ability to see things through. Is Marie taking orders for Coconut de Nancy? Thank you all. We're very blessed to hear your stories. And I agree, we're very blessed to hear your stories. I think the resonating themes we heard today had to do with being honest, being authentic, being agile and ready to diversify, being passionate, and even when the going gets tough, consistent learning, consistent improvement, consistent diversification of your business and your skill set, right? And I think this was a terrific panel to conclude our 2-day Taking the Leap. Yes, Marie?
You know what, I just want to make one small comment that in this whole journey, I think you should align yourself with some things bigger than yourself, and get involved with nonprofit organizations. We've heard Rotary Club, and I'm going to give a shout out to my Rotary Club, but you've heard a lot of that. Align yourself with people, you know, just get yourself involved with the group that's there for a bigger purpose. So just put yourself out there, be a part of the community, and you'll find that when you give to the community gives back to you. So as a local business, that's where you really want to be. So you can't keep taking without giving. So make sure that you align yourself with, you know, get involved in the community. If this is where you want to be, then be a part of it. Get in there. Yeah. So
100%. 100%. Our partner organizations in this would be so pleased to hear that. The Guam Women's Chamber, the Chamber of Commerce, GUMA, SVDC, of course, all the Rotary clubs who have been a terrific place for small businesses to meet and to learn more. And so, yeah, with that, I'd like to thank everyone again for having the courage to speak about your struggles, your triumphs, and I really look forward to seeing how the continued evolution of all of your businesses. I continue to look forward to occupying clean rooms in hotels because of Raj and the laundry solutions, to eating copious amounts of fried chicken, courtesy of Three Squares, and to getting my gut health back in shape because of Fu'una Cultures. And so with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over. Oh, Raj, did you have one more thing? Yes.
Yeah, no, just want to thank you all for the effort. I think I've been listening to this past yesterday as well, and today you guys done a fantastic job. I'll tell you, I think one of the conferences that I've attended, I think this is, I must say, packed with the full of action. It is not boring at all. It's like non-stop. You guys were full on, okay? So thank you for that. And I want to take this opportunity, right? I want to take this opportunity for this same time for as a business. If you want to disinfect, decontaminate your businesses and the house, please call us, Staramish, the best in class in the whole wide world, actually, I must say. And that is available in Guam. And then next is bring your bridal gowns, which is sitting in your closets. Bring your clothing to our laundry, and we do dry cleaning as well. And finally, thanks to my family, my team, who's being there thick and thin on this process. So thank you again for everyone.
Thank you so much, Raj. And thank you so much, Jenny and Marie. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Jenny and Marie, for taking the time from your busy lunch shift to come and speak with us.
No, this is a great opportunity. Thank you for the invite and being part of this beautiful, very intelligent panel.
All right, we're going to turn it back over to you, Mr. Norman.
All right. Well, thank you, Mel, and thank you to all of our wonderful panelists. Definitely a terrific way to end this Taking the Leap conference. We have the Honorable Lourdes Leon Guerrero, Governor of Guam, here to provide some closing remarks.
Half a day. Over the last 2 days, you have listened to a lot of highly experienced professionals talking about getting a small business off the ground. More than that, you have listened to individuals who at some point were in your shoes, getting ready to take the leap. As we continue to do whatever we can to slow the spread of COVID-19, our community has not sat idly by. Throughout this pandemic, I have seen the ingenuity of our people. We've seen friends and family finally taking the leap and turning their hobbies into businesses. From bakers to fashion designers to graphic artists, dozens of people in Guam decided to use this time to finally pursue what they've been thinking about for years. Small businesses are truly the anchor of Guam's economy. That is why I signed into law amendments to the Dave Santos Act to help our smallest of businesses and provided small business grants through GIDA during this pandemic. Lieutenant Governor Josh and I will do everything we can to support your journey through resources like this conference and the services of agencies like GIDA, DRT, and others. We hope that this conference not only gave you the nuts and bolts of getting your business off the ground, but also a lot of inspiration to keep your head up even when times are uncertain like the world we live in today. But sometimes the hardest part is starting. The uncertainty about this path can cause even the most confident individuals to pause and think. I encourage everyone who is thinking about whether they should bite the bullet to do it. Yes, the uncertainty is frightening, but the regret of not knowing what could have been is much worse. While government can't guarantee success, we can reduce the barriers you may face in starting your business. Take what you learned today and apply it to your new venue. Who knows, maybe this is the start of something big, something new. Sigzu'us Mo'asi.
Thank you to our governor. To all our panelists staying for afternoon one-on-ones, the conference team will be here to support you. For those who are ending today's conference experience here, we want to say thank you for taking the time to join the Guam Economic Development Authority, the Women's Chamber of Commerce, and the Guam Chamber of Commerce, as well as the SBDC and GUMA. Please keep in touch. Check the GIDA website, investguam.com/leap, for resources pertaining to what you heard over the last 2 days. We hope the next time we hear from you, it is because you are taking the leap. Stay safe.